Have you ever noticed how worry controls so much of our lives, yet never gives us anything in return? You stay awake at night replaying fears, you carry invisible weights on your shoulders, and you tell yourself that by worrying, you are preparing for the worst. But the truth is, worry does not prepare you. It only weakens you. It steals your peace, drains your strength, and blinds you to the blessings already around you. Buddhism teaches us that worry is not reality. It is the mind's illusion. Life is not happening in your fears. It is happening here, in this moment. And the secret is this: when you finally release the grip of worry, life begins to open its hands to you. Opportunities appear, peace returns, and joy flows back into your heart. Worry closes every door, but letting go of worry unlocks 1,000 more. 1. Worry is an illusion, not a solution. Worry is one of the greatest illusions the mind creates. It makes you believe that by thinking endlessly about a problem, you are somehow protecting yourself from it or preparing yourself for what is to come. But in truth, worry is like running on a treadmill. You move, you sweat, you use your energy, but at the end, you remain in the same place. Nothing has changed except that you are tired and drained. This is why worry feels heavy, why it makes your body tense and your spirit restless, because all of your energy is being wasted on rehearsing fears instead of creating solutions. In Buddhism, this cycle is known as attachment to thought. The mind clings to fear and repeats it, almost as if chanting it like a mantra. The mind says, if I keep thinking about this, maybe I can control it, maybe I can prevent it, maybe I can prepare for it. But repeating fear does not create safety. It only creates more suffering. It is like someone who holds onto a burning rope, believing that by gripping it tighter, they will somehow stop the fire. In reality, the tighter they hold, the more they burn themselves. Worry works in the exact same way. The more you cling to it, the more damage you do to your peace, your health, and your ability to think clearly. Letting go of worry does not mean pretending problems don't exist. It does not mean ignoring reality or becoming careless. Instead, it means that you choose to stop adding unnecessary suffering on top of the difficulties that already exist. Life will always bring challenges, but those challenges are already enough. Worry adds an extra layer of pain that serves no purpose. When you let go of worry, you don't erase the problem. You simply free your mind from the weight of unnecessary fear so that you can face the situation with clarity and wisdom. Problems may still come, but when you meet them without the poison of worry, you find yourself stronger, calmer, and more capable. It is like facing a storm with steady hands on the wheel instead of panicked eyes that cannot see the road. Worry does not prepare you, it blinds you. But letting go gives you vision, and vision is what allows you to move forward with peace and strength. 2. Life moves in the present, not in your fears. Worry always lives in a place that does not exist, the future. It pulls you into endless what-if scenarios. What if I fail? What if they leave me? What if I lose everything? What if tomorrow brings disaster? These questions spin in the mind like a wheel that never stops turning, and the more you entertain them, the further you drift away from the only moment that is real, the present. The truth is, life has never once unfolded in the land of your fears. It does not unfold in tomorrow or in 100 imagined outcomes. Life always unfolds in the now, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this very step you are taking at this exact moment. Buddhism teaches us that the past is nothing more than memory, the future is nothing more than imagination, and the only place that truly exists is the present. When you are lost in worry, you are not really living, you are wandering in illusions. Think of it this way. When you sit in a room worrying about what may happen tomorrow, the sunlight shining through your window is real, the sound of your breath is real, The beating of your heart is real, but you miss them because your mind is trapped in a story about something that has not yet happened. You cannot drink tomorrow's water today, and you cannot eat tomorrow's meal today, yet worry makes you live as if you are already starving. Imagine a bird flying across the open sky. The bird does not carry the weight of tomorrow's storm in its wings. It does not say to itself, "What if the wind is too strong tomorrow? What if the branch I land on breaks?" No, it simply flies, and in that freedom it finds its strength. The bird is not careless, but it is not burdened by worry, and that is what allows it to move gracefully through the sky. In the same way, when we release worry and return to the present moment, we are lighter, freer, and more capable of handling whatever comes. Think about how much energy we waste fearing things that never even happen. Studies have shown that most of the fears people worry about never actually come true. Yet in our imagination, we suffer from them again and again, as if they were happening in reality. Worry is like watching a frightening movie inside your head over and over again, even though the events on the screen are not real. You cry, you panic, your heart races, but when the lights turn on, you realize nothing ever happened. That is what living in worry does. It makes you suffer from things that exist only in thought, not in truth. When you let go of worry, you return to the present. You begin to notice the simple miracles that were always here, the rhythm of your breathing, the softness of the air, the colors of the world around you. In that moment, peace naturally arises because you are no longer being pulled by the chains of tomorrow. The present moment is not a small thing, it is everything. It is life itself. By releasing worry, you stop living in your fears and finally start living in your reality. 3. Worry blocks the flow of blessings. When your mind is filled with worry, it is as if you have placed a giant wall between yourself and the blessings life is constantly trying to send you. Worry narrows your perspective, shrinks your imagination, and blinds you from seeing the opportunities that are already around you. It is like standing in front of a wide-open field of flowers, but covering your eyes with your own hands. You cannot see the beauty, not because it is not there, but because your own worry keeps you from noticing it. This is why so many people live in struggle, not because life has denied them, but because worry has blocked their ability to receive what life has already given. Buddhism explains that worry is a form of resistance. It is the mind fighting against the natural flow of existence. Imagine a river that is constantly flowing, carrying fresh water downstream. This river represents life, abundance, and the opportunities meant for you. But when you worry, you build a dam across the river. The water tries to flow, but it becomes stuck, heavy, and stagnant. Nothing moves. Your blessings are delayed not because life has forgotten you, but because you have closed the path with fear and overthinking. The moment you let go of worry, the dam breaks apart, the water surges forward again, and life begins to deliver gifts you thought were impossible. Think about how often clarity comes when you stop worrying. For example, when you are deeply stressed about a problem, your mind feels crowded and no solution appears. But the moment you step away, breathe, calm yourself, and let go of the constant worrying, suddenly ideas come to you. The solution may even appear effortlessly, as if it was always there waiting for you. This is because worry does not create answers, it creates noise. And when you release the noise, you make space for wisdom, creativity, and clarity to flow through you. Many people confuse worrying with being responsible, but they are not the same. Responsibility is taking action where you can, while worry is obsessing over what you cannot control. Responsibility moves life forward, worry keeps it stuck. It is like planting seeds in the soil. Responsibility is watering them, caring for them, and trusting the process. Worry, on the other hand, is digging them up every day to see if they are growing. And by doing so, you harm the very growth you desire. When you let go of worry, you allow the seeds of your efforts to grow naturally in their own time, without interference. Life is not against you, it is for you. Opportunities, blessings, and miracles are always on their way. But worry acts like a heavy curtain over the window of your heart. When you drop the curtain, the sunlight rushes in, and you realize it was always there waiting. The blessings were never absent. You just could not see them through the fog of fear. This is the beauty of letting go. The very moment you stop worrying, you suddenly feel lighter, and what was once invisible begins to reveal itself. So remember, it is not always the problem itself that holds you back. Many times, it is your constant worrying about the problem that creates the real barrier. The universe flows more easily when you stop resisting it with fear and doubt. Let go of worry, and the flow of life will carry you toward blessings far greater than what you could have imagined. Fourth, letting go invites inner peace. Every human being longs for peace. We search for it in relationships, in success, in money, in recognition, and in security. Yet so often, peace continues to feel out of reach. Why? Because we look for it outside, in things that are temporary, fragile, and always changing. Worry arises when we tie our peace to things we cannot control, whether it is the opinion of others, the future we cannot predict, or circumstances that may shift in ways we never expected. The Buddha's timeless reminder is simple but profound. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. This means that true peace has never left us. It has only been buried beneath layers of thought, fear, and endless worrying. When you live in worry, your mind is like a restless ocean. Every small disturbance, every imagined fear, and every uncertain thought becomes a wave that crashes violently, making it impossible to see clearly. Even if the ocean holds treasures deep below, you cannot see them because the surface is in chaos. Worry does this to the mind. It creates storms that hide the stillness that was always there beneath the surface. But when you let go of worry, those waves begin to settle, the storm begins to quiet, and slowly the ocean of your mind becomes still. In that stillness, peace is revealed, not as something you must chase or create, but as something that was always waiting inside you. Consider how often we confuse peace with control. We think, if I can just fix this situation, if I can just get that job, if this person would only change, then I will be at peace. But life does not work that way, because the external world is beyond our control. People will come and go, fortunes will rise and fall, circumstances will shift without warning. If your peace depends on those things, you will always be a prisoner of worry. True peace comes when you realize that nothing outside of you can truly disturb the calm within unless you allow it. Letting go of worry is the act of withdrawing your power from the outside world and returning it to where it belongs, your own heart. Think of peace as a clear lake. When you are calm, the water is still and you can see your reflection perfectly. But when worry enters, it is like throwing stones into the water. Ripples spread out in every direction, distorting your reflection until you no longer recognize yourself. The lake has not lost its ability to reflect. It has only been disturbed. Once the stones stop falling and the ripples fade, the stillness returns and the reflection is clear once again. In the same way, peace is never gone from your life. It is simply hidden behind the ripples of worry. When you let go, the ripples fade, and your true, calm self emerges once more. Many people fear that letting go of worry will make them careless, as if peace and responsibility cannot coexist. But the opposite is true. When you are peaceful inside, you make wiser decisions, you act more effectively, and you handle challenges with a steady heart. Worry clouds your judgment, but peace sharpens it. Imagine trying to untie a knot with trembling, anxious hands. You only make the knot tighter. But with steady, calm hands, the knot slowly loosens. Life's problems are like knots, and the calmer you are, the more easily you can untangle them. Letting go of worry does not mean abandoning your duties or ignoring reality. It means that you stop letting fear control your thoughts. It means that even while facing difficulty, you choose to stand in stillness instead of panic. It means trusting that peace is stronger than fear, that clarity is more powerful than chaos, and that your inner calm is the key to facing whatever life brings. When you learn to let go of worry, you begin to notice that peace is not something you need to achieve. It is something you uncover. It has always been within you, waiting for you to step away from fear and return to the stillness of the present moment. And once you taste this peace, you realize it is far more valuable than anything worry ever promised. It is not fragile, it is not temporary, and it is not dependent on anyone or anything outside of you. It is yours. 5. Worry ages the mind. Letting go renews it. Worry is not just a passing thought. It is a heavy burden that presses down on both the mind and the body. It slowly drains life out of you in ways you do not always notice. When you carry worry day after day, it begins to leave its mark. Your shoulders feel tense, your breath becomes shallow, your sleep grows restless, and your face carries the subtle lines of hidden stress. Over time, worry weighs so heavily on the spirit that it makes you feel older than you truly are. Even when the body is young, a worried mind makes it seem tired, exhausted, and aged beyond its years. The truth is, worry is one of the greatest thieves of vitality. It takes away your energy before life's challenges even arrive. Instead of meeting life with freshness and strength, worry makes you meet it already defeated. Buddhism teaches us that suffering is not always caused by the events themselves, but by the way the mind clings to them. Worry is this clinging. It is like carrying yesterday's pain and tomorrow's fear together on your back, while trying to live today. No wonder it feels so heavy. The more you cling, the more you tire. Now imagine what happens when you let go of worry. It is like putting down a heavy bag you've been carrying for miles without realizing how much it was hurting you. Suddenly, your steps feel lighter, your breath deepens, and you notice the beauty around you again. Letting go of worry does not mean you escape life's difficulties, but it frees you from the unnecessary suffering that ages your spirit. You begin to feel renewed, as if years of weight have fallen off your heart. You wake up with more energy, you smile more easily, and you approach life not as a weary traveler, but as someone alive with possibility. Think of a child for a moment. A child does not carry yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's fears. They live with freshness, curiosity, and joy in the present moment. This is why children radiate life. They are free from the chains of constant worry. Buddhism reminds us that this freshness is not lost with age, it is lost with attachment. As adults, we accumulate layer upon layer of fears, doubts, and imagined scenarios until we forget how light life can feel. But when you let go of worry, you peel away those layers and return to that childlike state of renewal, where each day feels new and full of potential. Worry also clouds the mind, making it dull and slow. Have you noticed how difficult it is to think clearly when you are overwhelmed by anxious thoughts? You go in circles, repeat the same fears, and find no solutions. This mental fog is the weight of worry. Letting go clears the fog and sharpens the mind. Suddenly, you can see things as they are, not as your fear paints them. This clarity is rejuvenating because it saves you from wasting energy on illusions. Instead, your energy flows toward what is real, what is important, and what can actually change. Even the body responds to the absence of worry. Science now shows what ancient wisdom has always known. Stress and worry weaken the immune system, accelerate aging, and rob the body of health. But calmness, peace, and presence help the body heal, strengthen, and renew itself. Letting go of worry is not only a spiritual practice, it is medicine for the body and mind. It gives your cells a chance to repair, your heart a chance to rest, and your spirit a chance to shine again. So remember this: every time you hold on to worry, you add invisible years to your spirit. Every time you let it go, you reclaim your vitality. Worry is the weight that bends your back, but letting go is the fountain of youth that renews your mind and soul. When you choose release over fear, you do not just survive life. You begin to live it with a freshness and strength that makes each day feel new. 6. Worry disconnects you from life's natural flow. Life is not random chaos. It is a rhythm, a flow, a harmony that is always moving in balance. Every sunrise, every wave that meets the shore, every tree that grows without rushing, these are reminders that life has a natural intelligence guiding it. But when we worry, we cut ourselves off from that intelligence. Worry makes us believe that we must control everything, predict every outcome, and force life to obey our plans. In doing so, we no longer move with the current of existence. We fight against it. And in this struggle, we lose our peace, our clarity, and our trust. Think of a river that flows through mountains and valleys. It never worries about the rocks in its path, nor does it resist the turns and bends. It simply flows, finding its way naturally, gracefully, and with ease. Even when obstacles appear, the river does not stop. It flows around them, over them, or eventually wears them down. Worry, however, makes us act like someone who jumps into the river and tries to stop the water with their bare hands. We exhaust ourselves fighting a force far greater than us. The more we resist, the weaker we feel, because life was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be trusted. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises when we resist what is. Worry is this resistance. It is the mind saying, "I do not trust life. I do not trust the future. I must hold on tightly and make things go my way." But what happens when a person holds too tightly? They grow rigid, tense, and fragile. The truth is, flexibility is strength. Just like the bamboo tree bends in the wind without breaking, those who learn to let go of worry bend with life's changes and remain unbroken. Worry makes us stiff like a dry branch, easily snapped when life moves in unexpected ways. Letting go makes us soft yet strong, flowing with the currents instead of being destroyed by them. Have you noticed how much lighter you feel when you finally surrender? Perhaps there was a time when you tried so hard to make something happen, but it only brought you stress and frustration. Then, when you finally released the constant worrying and trusted the process, things began to align on their own. This is the mystery of life's flow. It moves more smoothly when you stop interfering with fear. Worry clouds your vision and convinces you that everything is falling apart. But when you let go, you realize life was quietly carrying you forward all along. Worry also disconnects you from the present moment, and the present moment is the only place where life actually flows. When you are stuck in worry, you live in imagined futures or past regrets, and you miss the living stream of now. It is like standing in a beautiful garden but staring only at the weeds, blind to the flowers all around you. The more you worry, the more you close yourself off from life's beauty. But the moment you let go, your eyes open again, and you notice the colors, the scents, and the gifts that were always present. Trust is the key to reconnecting with life's flow. Trust does not mean you know exactly what will happen. It means you believe that whatever happens, you will find your way through it. It means you stop trying to control the river and instead learn to swim with its current. This trust transforms fear into acceptance, and acceptance transforms chaos into peace. It does not mean life will always give you what you want, but it does mean that life will always give you what you need. So remember this truth. Worry is a wall, but letting go is a bridge. Worry disconnects you from the wisdom of the universe, but surrender reconnects you to it. When you let go, you discover that life is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. It is always moving, always guiding, always carrying you where you are meant to be. The river of life knows the way. You only need to trust it and flow. 7. When you let go, life gives you more than you ever dreamed. The greatest illusion of worry is that it protects you. Deep inside, most people believe that if they keep worrying, they will somehow be prepared for the worst, that fear will act as a shield, and that constant thinking will keep them safe. But if you look closely, you will see that worry has never truly protected you. Has a single anxious night ever stopped tomorrow from coming? Has endless overthinking ever prevented hardship from arriving? The truth is, worry does not protect, it imprisons. It keeps you chained to fears that may never come and steals from you the joy that could be lived right now. Buddhism teaches that clinging is the root of suffering. Worry is simply clinging to control, the desperate need to know, to predict, to hold on to outcomes as if they belong entirely to us. But life is far greater than our plans. Life does not follow our small, fragile maps. It is vast, mysterious, and full of hidden currents we cannot always see. When you finally release your grip and stop clinging, something beautiful happens. Life begins to move you toward places you could not have imagined, blessings you could not have planned, and opportunities you did not even know existed. Imagine a person standing at the shore of an ocean, holding tightly to a small bucket of water. They cling to it with fear, saying, "This is all I have, I cannot let it go." But the moment they release the bucket and step into the ocean, they realize the water they were protecting was nothing compared to the infinite sea before them. Worry makes us cling to the bucket. It convinces us that by holding tightly, we are keeping ourselves safe. But when you let go, you realize that life was always offering you an ocean of abundance. The secret is this: letting go does not mean losing, it means gaining. Worry keeps your hands closed, tight, and empty. Letting go opens your hands, and only then can life place its gifts in your palms. When you finally release the constant need to control every detail, you create space for the unexpected blessings that are far greater than anything you imagined. Life is generous, but it cannot give to a mind that is already full of fear. It waits until you empty yourself, until you release the noise, until you are willing to trust. And then, in that emptiness, life pours in everything you need. Think of the times in your life when you received something you never planned for, something that came out of nowhere but changed your life forever. Maybe it was an unexpected friendship, an opportunity, a moment of beauty, or even a hardship that shaped you into someone stronger and wiser. None of these came from worry. They came when life was flowing naturally. This is the promise of letting go. You do not lose control. You discover that there was a greater order guiding you all along. There is a story in Buddhist teachings about a monk who carried an empty bowl wherever he went. People asked him, "Why do you carry this empty bowl with you all the time?" He answered, "Because when the bowl is empty, it can be filled. If I carried it full, nothing more could enter." Worry is like carrying a bowl that is already filled to the brim with fear and doubt. There is no room for new blessings, no space for new opportunities. But when you let go, when you empty your bowl, life begins to fill it in ways you could not imagine. Worry also blinds you to the beauty of what you already have. When your mind is consumed by fear of what might go wrong, you overlook the miracles quietly happening in the present. You miss the laughter of your loved ones, the gift of health, the beauty of the sky, the opportunities already surrounding you. Letting go opens your eyes again. It is as if you were walking in darkness, and suddenly a light turns on. You realize that blessings were always there, waiting for you to notice. The most powerful truth is this: when you let go of worry, life often gives you more than you ever dreamed, because your dreams themselves are limited. Worry keeps your vision small. It makes you believe that only one path can make you happy, only one outcome can save you. But life is wiser. Life has 1,000 ways to bless you, 1,000 doors to open, 1,000 paths that lead to joy. When you cling, you trap yourself in one narrow possibility. When you let go, you discover an infinite field of possibilities. Consider how a seed becomes a tree. The seed does not worry about how it will sprout, how tall it will grow, or how many branches it will have. It simply surrenders to the soil, the water, and the sun. In its surrender, it becomes something far greater than it could imagine, a tree that provides shade, fruit, and beauty. If the seed could worry, it might cling to staying small, afraid of breaking apart in the soil. But by letting go, by surrendering, it transforms. In the same way, you too must allow life to grow you into something greater than your small fears allow. Letting go of worry also transforms your relationship with uncertainty. Most people fear the unknown. They worry because they cannot predict what is coming. But if you look deeply, you will see that everything beautiful in life came from the unknown. Every new friendship, every achievement, every blessing was once something uncertain. If you had rejected uncertainty, you would have rejected every miracle life had for you. Letting go of worry is, therefore, not just about releasing fear. It is about learning to embrace the unknown as a place of possibility. The unknown is not empty, it is full. It is the place where dreams are born, where blessings arise, where transformation begins. And here lies the final gift. When you let go of worry, you do not just receive more from life, you become more yourself. Worry dims your spirit, hides your light, and traps you in fear. But when you let go, you rediscover your natural state, calm, radiant, open, and alive. You begin to act not from fear, but from wisdom, not from anxiety, but from trust. And this shift changes everything. Your health improves, your relationships deepen, your opportunities expand, and your inner peace grows unshakable. So remember, letting go of worry is not about giving up. It is about giving in to life, to trust, to the natural flow that is always guiding you. When you let go, you make space for miracles. You realize that what you once feared losing was nothing compared to what life was waiting to give you. And often, what life gives is more than you ever dreamed. More love, more peace, more joy, more abundance, and more strength than your worried mind could ever imagine. This is the gift of surrender. The moment you release the grip of worry, life responds with generosity. It was never against you. It was always waiting for you to open your hands. And when you do, you find that the blessings were not far away. They were always near, ready to flow the moment you let go. 8. Freedom begins where worry ends. If worry is a prison, then letting go is the key that opens the door. Most people do not realize how much of their life has been spent locked inside invisible walls built by fear, doubt, and constant overthinking. They wake up in the morning already carrying the weight of imagined futures. They spend the day replaying scenarios that may never unfold, and they go to sleep with a restless mind that refuses to rest. This cycle repeats until life begins to feel like a cage, narrow, suffocating, and heavy. And yet, the bars of this cage are not real. They are made of thoughts, of illusions, of fears that live only in the mind. The moment you step beyond them, you realize that freedom was always here, waiting for you. Buddhism teaches that the mind, when left untamed, becomes its own source of suffering. Worry is a prime example of this. It is not reality that makes us suffer. It is the mind's constant insistence on controlling reality, predicting reality, and resisting reality. When you finally let go, when you loosen the grip of these endless what-ifs, you step into a space of vast openness. That space is freedom, and it is in freedom, not fear, that life reveals its fullest beauty. Think of a bird born inside a cage. The bird has wings, but because it has grown up surrounded by bars, it believes the cage is the world. Even if the door is opened, the bird may hesitate to fly because it fears the unknown outside. This is how many of us live with worry. We have wings, our wisdom, our strength, our inner peace, but we keep ourselves trapped in cages of imagined fear. Letting go of worry is like realizing that the door was open all along. The world outside is vast, limitless, full of skies waiting for us to soar. But we cannot take flight until we release the belief that safety lies in the cage. Freedom begins the moment you stop trying to control everything. Worry is a form of control. It is the mind's desperate attempt to prepare for every possibility, to protect itself by living the pain of tomorrow before tomorrow comes. But life does not bend to control. The more you try to hold on, the more life slips through your fingers like sand. Freedom is not about controlling the waves. It is about learning to surf them. It is not about building walls against the wind. It is about learning to move with it. The moment you let go of worry, you begin to dance with life instead of fighting against it. This freedom is not careless. It is not about ignoring responsibilities or pretending challenges do not exist. It is about understanding that worry is not the same as wisdom. Wisdom takes action when action is needed and rests when rest is needed. Worry, on the other hand, never rests. It burns your energy endlessly, even when there is nothing more to be done. Letting go of worry allows you to act when necessary and then return to peace when the action is complete. This balance is freedom. The freedom to do, the freedom to rest, the freedom to live without carrying unnecessary chains in your mind. Imagine walking through a forest carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Every step feels difficult, every breath feels strained, and you cannot enjoy the beauty of the trees, the sound of the birds, or the softness of the breeze. But then one day, you decide to open the bag and realize that most of the stones were not yours to carry. They were only worries, only fears, only illusions. You set them down, and suddenly, your body feels light. The forest is the same, but your experience has changed completely. You walk freely, you notice beauty, you feel alive again. This is the difference between living with worry and living without it. The forest of life does not change, but the weight you carry makes all the difference. Worry disconnects you from joy, but letting go reconnects you to it. Have you noticed how children laugh so easily? They are not burdened by thoughts of tomorrow. They live fully in the now. Their laughter is pure, their joy is unrestrained, because they are not carrying the invisible chains of constant worry. You, too, once lived this way, free, light, joyful. That part of you has not disappeared. It has only been covered by layers of fear and doubt. Letting go of worry peels back those layers and allows you to rediscover that natural joy. Freedom is not something new you must create. It is something ancient within you that you must uncover. Buddhism often speaks of the middle way, the path of balance, not too much clinging, not too much resisting. Worry throws you out of balance because it clings tightly to outcomes. Freedom is found in the balance of effort and surrender. You do your part, you plant your seeds, you care for your responsibilities, but then you trust life to do the rest. You stop digging up the soil every day to check if the seeds are growing. You stop obsessing over what may or may not happen. You learn to breathe, to trust, to live. This balance is the essence of freedom, and it begins the moment worry ends. The gifts of this freedom are immense. When you are no longer chained by worry, your mind becomes clear, your body feels lighter, and your spirit grows expansive. You begin to notice beauty in places you once ignored. The colors of the sky, the sound of rain, the kindness of a stranger, the opportunities hiding in unexpected corners. Life becomes less about survival and more about living. You move from fear to trust, from tension to ease, from imprisonment to openness. And as you live in this freedom, life responds by opening more doors, offering more blessings, and surprising you with abundance you never dreamed of. So, remember this. Freedom does not come from controlling the future or solving every uncertainty. Freedom begins the moment you let go of worry. It begins when you step out of the prison of imagined fears and realize that the door was open all along. It begins when you trust the flow of life enough to spread your wings and soar into the unknown. And when you do, you discover that the unknown is not something to fear. It is the place where miracles live, where growth happens, where life gives you everything you need and more. When worry ends, life begins. And when you choose freedom over fear, you will see that the sky was never the limit, it was only the beginning. 9. Trust is the bridge beyond worry. If letting go of worry is the first step, then learning to trust is the path that carries you forward. Without trust, even if you release one fear, another quickly returns. The mind, left without trust, feels lost and vulnerable, so it runs to the only thing it knows, worry. But when trust enters, worry loses its power. Trust is the bridge that takes you from fear to freedom, from anxiety to peace, from clinging to surrender. And without crossing that bridge, you can never truly escape the cycle of worry. Trust does not mean naivety. It does not mean you ignore the challenges of life or pretend that pain does not exist. Trust means that even in the face of uncertainty, you believe that life will carry you through. It is a deep knowing that you are part of something greater than your fears, and that there is a wisdom guiding existence far beyond what your worried mind can calculate. Buddhism teaches us that everything arises and passes away, that all conditions are temporary, and that nothing lasts forever. This truth itself can be the foundation of trust, because it means that no matter how difficult today feels, it too will pass. Worry convinces you that you will be stuck forever, but trust reminds you that life is always moving, always changing, always flowing. Think of a river once more. If you fall into a river and thrash in panic, you exhaust yourself and risk drowning. But if you relax, float, and trust the water to carry you, you often find yourself guided safely to shore. Worry is thrashing. Trust is floating. Life will always carry you forward. But how you experience that journey depends on whether you resist it or surrender to it. With trust, even the rapids become part of the adventure, and even the bends in the river become invitations to discover new landscapes. Trust also means trusting yourself. Many times, worry arises because we secretly doubt our own ability to handle life. We ask, what if something happens and I cannot cope? What if I am not strong enough? What if I fail? But when you look back on your life, you see that you have survived every difficulty so far. You have walked through storms you thought would break you, and yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still growing. This is evidence. If you could trust yourself then, you can trust yourself now. The same strength that carried you through yesterday will carry you through tomorrow. Worry blinds you to your strength, but trust opens your eyes to it again. There is a Zen teaching that says, let go or be dragged. When you cling to fear, it drags you across the rough ground of life, scraping and tearing you apart. But when you trust enough to let go, you stop being dragged and begin to walk freely. Trust is not weakness, it is courage. It takes courage to say, I do not know what will happen, but I trust that I will meet it with strength, and I trust that life has meaning beyond what I can see. Trust also transforms how you see the unknown. Worry sees the unknown as a monster, hiding dangers that will destroy you. Trust sees the unknown as a mystery, holding gifts yet to be revealed. Every beautiful thing in your life once came from the unknown. Every friendship, every success, every lesson, every blessing. If you had rejected the unknown, you would have rejected every miracle. So why should the unknown of tomorrow be different? The same space that once brought you joy is still the space that will bring you joy again. Trust turns the unknown from a source of fear into a source of wonder. Think about the seed buried deep in the soil. If the seed could worry, it might say, "It is dark here. I am suffocating. I do not know what will happen." But if it trusts the process, it breaks open and grows into a tree, reaching light, air, and sky beyond anything it could imagine. Worry would keep the seed small. Trust allows it to transform. The same is true for you. Life sometimes buries you in darkness, not to end you, but to grow you. And it is trust, not worry, that allows you to break open into something greater. Trust is also about releasing the need for perfection. Worry thrives on the idea that everything must go exactly as planned, that you must never stumble, that life must never surprise you. But perfection is an illusion. The universe itself is imperfectly perfect. Mountains crumble, rivers change course, stars burn out, seasons shift. Yet in that imperfection there is harmony. Trust means accepting that things may not always unfold as you expect, but they will unfold as they are meant to. Often, it is the paths you never planned, the detours you resisted, that lead you to the greatest beauty. Without trust, the mind lives in constant conflict, always questioning, always fearing, always clinging. With trust, the mind softens, the heart opens, and life feels less like a battle and more like a journey. Trust does not mean you will never face pain. It means you will no longer face it twice, once in imagination through worry and again in reality. Trust saves you from living your suffering before it even arrives. The more you practice trust, the more you realize that life is not against you, it is for you. Every setback carries a lesson, every loss carries a gift, every ending makes space for a beginning. Worry blinds you to these truths, but trust reveals them. Trust shows you that nothing is wasted, nothing is meaningless, and nothing is beyond redemption. Even the hardest experiences become part of your growth when you trust enough to let them. So remember this: worry is the language of fear, but trust is the language of freedom. When you let go of worry and begin to trust yourself, trust the process, trust the flow of life, you cross the bridge from fear to peace. You discover that the unknown is not a threat, but an invitation, that uncertainty is not emptiness but possibility, and that life is not something to be controlled, but something to be lived. And when you live in this trust, life gives you not only peace, but also abundance, beauty, and joy beyond anything your worried mind could ever imagine. 10. The gift of surrender. Life works when you stop forcing. Worry is the mind's way of forcing life. It is the restless attempt to bend reality into your shape, to demand that things go exactly as you want, to control every outcome as if life were a machine and you were the engineer. But life is not a machine. It is a mystery, a living river, an unfolding story. The more you try to force it, the more exhausted you become, because life does not obey force. It obeys flow. And here lies the hidden wisdom. When you surrender, when you stop forcing, life often aligns in ways more beautiful than anything you could have planned. Buddhism teaches the principle of non-attachment, which is not the same as indifference. Non-attachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You still plant your seeds, you still water them, you still care for them, but you do not force the seed to sprout before its time. Worry is like digging up the soil every day, trying to pull the seed out and make it grow faster. Surrender is planting with love, acting with care, and then trusting the process to unfold. This is the gift of surrender. It saves you from the torment of constant forcing and allows you to live in harmony with the rhythm of life. Think of your breath. You do not need to force it. The inhale comes, the exhale follows, and the body knows what to do. If you try to control every breath, you only create tension. But when you trust the natural rhythm, breathing is effortless. Life works the same way. It already knows how to move forward, how to heal, how to create balance. Worry interrupts this rhythm, but surrender allows it to flow. The moment you stop trying to force life into your timeline, you discover that life already has a timeline, and it is often far wiser than your own. Surrender is often misunderstood as weakness, but in reality, it is the highest form of strength. Anyone can fight against what is happening, anyone can resist and worry, but it takes deep courage to release control and trust the unknown. To surrender is to say, I will give my best, and then I will let go. I will plant my seeds, but I will not cling to when or how they grow. I will live in trust rather than fear. This is not weakness. It is the courage to face life with openness instead of control. Consider the ocean. Waves rise, waves fall, tides come in, tides go out. You cannot stop the tide, you cannot command the waves, you cannot force the ocean to obey your schedule. If you fight it, you drown in exhaustion. But if you surrender, if you learn to ride the waves, the ocean carries you. This is the gift of surrender. It does not eliminate life's waves, but it allows you to move with them instead of against them. Worry says, I must hold back the tide. Surrender says, I will move with the tide and let it take me where I am meant to go. Surrender also transforms how you handle pain. Worry amplifies pain because it makes you resist it. You say, this should not be happening, I cannot handle this, I must stop it. But the more you resist, the heavier it becomes. Surrender does not mean enjoying pain. It means allowing it to be what it is without adding the extra weight of resistance. When you surrender to what is, you create space for healing, wisdom, and growth. Many of the deepest transformations in life happen not when we fight reality, but when we finally accept it and flow with it. Worry is rooted in the fear that if you stop forcing, life will fall apart. But look around you. Much of what sustains you is already happening without your control. The sun rises, the earth turns, the seasons change, your heart beats, your lungs breathe, all without your constant command. Life is already carrying you. Why not trust it more deeply? Surrender means remembering that you are not separate from life. You are part of it. Just as the river knows where to flow, life knows where to carry you. Another gift of surrender is clarity. When your mind is filled with worry, you cannot see clearly. Every thought is tangled, every decision feels heavy, every step feels uncertain. But when you let go and surrender, clarity arises naturally. It is like muddy water. If you keep stirring it, it remains cloudy. But if you stop and let it settle, the water becomes clear. Worry stirs the mud. Surrender lets it settle. In stillness, answers arise, wisdom appears, and you see the path ahead more clearly than before. Surrender also reconnects you with peace. So often, we live with the illusion that peace is something to be achieved once everything is perfect. I will be at peace when I have enough money, when my health is secure, when my relationships are stable, when the future is guaranteed. But peace cannot be postponed to a perfect future, because perfection never comes. There will always be another uncertainty, another challenge, another reason to worry. Peace is found not by controlling the future, but by surrendering to the present. The gift of surrender is that it returns you to now, the only place where peace can ever be found. There is a famous Zen parable of a man who was chased by a tiger to the edge of a cliff. As he hung from a vine, below him was another tiger, waiting. Above him was danger, below him was danger, and his mind could easily have been consumed by worry. But then he noticed a strawberry growing nearby. He picked it and ate it, savoring its sweetness. In that moment, he surrendered, not to death, not to fear, but to the present. Worry could have stolen that sweetness, but surrender allowed him to taste life even in the face of uncertainty. This is the essence of living without worry. It allows you to taste the strawberries of life instead of missing them while fearing the tigers. The gift of surrender is not that life becomes easy. The storms will still come, the winds will still blow, and the waves will still rise. But instead of exhausting yourself in resistance, you learn to move gracefully within them. You learn to rest in trust, to breathe in peace, and to act with clarity. You learn that life was never meant to be forced. It was meant to be lived. And when you stop forcing, you discover that life works far better than when you worried endlessly over it. So remember this: worry will always try to convince you that control is the only safety. But the truth is, safety comes from trust, peace comes from acceptance, and strength comes from surrender. When you release the illusion of control, when you stop forcing and start flowing, life begins to align itself with you in ways you could not have imagined. The doors you tried to break down with worry suddenly open on their own. The answers you could not think of in fear suddenly appear in stillness. And the blessings you thought were far away suddenly find their way to you. This is the ultimate gift of surrender. When you stop forcing life, life begins to work. When you stop clinging, you begin receiving. And when you let go of worry, you do not lose control. You gain freedom, clarity, peace, and abundance far beyond what you could ever create with fear. 11th, peace is found in acceptance, not in resistance. At the root of worry lies resistance. Worry is the mind saying, "I do not want things to be this way. I must change them. I must prevent them. I must control them." It is the endless fight against reality, the refusal to accept what is. And yet, the truth is this: no amount of worry has ever stopped reality from unfolding. The sun rises whether you worry or not. Storms come whether you fear them or not. People change whether you cling to them or not. Life continues its dance regardless of the noise in your head. This is why Buddhism teaches that true peace is not found in resistance, but in acceptance. Acceptance is often misunderstood. Many people think it means giving up, being passive, or allowing themselves to be walked over by life. But acceptance is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. To accept does not mean you stop acting, but it means you stop fighting against what already is. It means that you see reality clearly, without denial, without illusion, and without the extra suffering created by resisting it. From that clear seeing, you are able to respond wisely. Worry, on the other hand, clouds your vision. It makes you waste energy resisting the inevitable instead of using that energy to live, to heal, to grow. Imagine standing in the middle of the ocean as a giant wave approaches. If you resist, if you try to push the wave back with your hands, you will be crushed. But if you dive into it, if you move with it, you pass through safely. Acceptance is diving into the wave. Resistance is trying to push it back. Worry is the voice in your mind screaming about the wave, exhausting you before it even arrives. But acceptance brings peace, even in the middle of the storm, because it allows you to flow instead of fight. Acceptance does not mean you approve of everything that happens. It does not mean you enjoy pain or injustice or loss. It means you acknowledge them as part of the reality of this moment. It is like opening your eyes in the dark. Maybe you do not like what you see, but you can at least see clearly. And only when you see clearly can you begin to move wisely. Worry blinds you, while acceptance opens your eyes. With open eyes, you may still act, you may still change what can be changed, but you will do so without the poison of resistance that eats away at your peace. There is a quiet power in simply saying, "This is what it is right now." Those words may sound simple, but they carry a liberation that worry cannot give you. Because the moment you accept what is, you stop carrying the burden of wishing it were different. You stop draining your spirit with the endless thought, why me? Why now? What if? You conserve your energy. You find stillness. And in that stillness, wisdom arises. Often the solutions you could not see in the chaos of worry become clear in the calm of acceptance. Acceptance also softens the heart. When you are lost in worry, your heart tightens. You grow impatient, restless, and harsh with yourself and others. But when you accept, you soften. You give yourself permission to breathe. You give others permission to be human. You stop demanding perfection from a world that was never meant to be perfect. In this softness, compassion grows. You treat yourself with more kindness, and you extend that kindness to others. This compassion is itself a form of peace. Think of the seasons. Winter does not resist becoming winter. The trees shed their leaves without protest. The rivers freeze without complaint. The snow falls without argument. They do not worry about spring. They simply live their moment fully. And then, in time, spring returns. Life moves in cycles, always changing, always renewing. If nature resisted, if the trees worried endlessly about when spring would come, they would lose their peace. But in acceptance, they flow with life's rhythm. You too are part of nature. When you accept your seasons, whether of joy, of hardship, of waiting, or of growth, you live in harmony with the universe. Resistance separates you. Acceptance reconnects you. Worry convinces you that acceptance is dangerous, that if you accept life as it is, you will lose control, you will be weak, you will fail. But in reality, the opposite is true. Acceptance frees you from wasting energy on the impossible so you can direct your energy toward the possible. It frees you from illusions so you can live in truth. It frees you from fear so you can act with clarity. Far from being weakness, acceptance is the very foundation of strength. It is saying, I cannot control the wind, but I can adjust my sails. And here lies the deepest secret. Peace is not something to be achieved in the future. It is not waiting for you after the worry ends or after every problem is solved. Peace is available right now, in this very moment, through acceptance. Even in the middle of struggle, even in the middle of uncertainty, you can touch peace by simply saying yes to reality, by letting go of the fight, by surrendering the resistance, by being present with what is. There is a story of a Zen master who was once falsely accused of a crime. Instead of worrying about what people thought, he simply said, "Is that so?" When the accusation was dropped, he again said, "Is that so?" His peace was unshaken because he accepted reality as it came, without clinging to reputation, without resisting the flow of events. This is the power of acceptance. It makes you unshakable. While others are tossed by the storms of opinion and fear, you remain steady because your peace does not depend on controlling the world, but on accepting it as it is. So remember this. Resistance is suffering, but acceptance is peace. Worry is resistance. It is the constant attempt to fight what cannot be fought. Letting go of worry means embracing acceptance. It means saying, "This is what it is right now, and I will meet it with calm." It means opening your heart to the present moment instead of shutting it out with fear. And when you live this way, you discover that acceptance does not make life dull, it makes life alive. Every breath, every challenge, every joy becomes part of the dance of existence. Peace is not waiting for you in the future. It is here. It has always been here. And the key to entering it is not resistance, but acceptance. When you let go of worry and open yourself to what is, you will find that peace was never lost. It was only hidden beneath your struggle. The moment you accept, it rises again, like the sun emerging from behind the clouds. 12. The present moment is stronger than every worry. Every worry begins with one simple mistake: abandoning the present moment. The mind runs ahead into 1,000 possible tomorrows, inventing storms, failures, and losses that do not exist. And in doing so, it leaves behind the only place where life truly happens: now. Worry is always about the future, about what may or may not unfold. But life itself never lives in tomorrow. Life breathes only here, in this moment. The more you learn to return to the present, the weaker worry becomes, until eventually you see that the present moment is stronger than every fear your mind can create. Buddhism has always emphasized the power of mindfulness, which is the art of being fully present. Mindfulness is not simply a technique, it is a way of living. It is the realization that reality exists only here and now. The past is gone, a collection of memories. The future is unborn, a field of possibilities. Only the present is alive. When you are present, worry loses its roots, because it cannot survive in the light of now. It only thrives in the shadows of what if. Think of worry like a thief that sneaks into your home when you are distracted. It steals your peace, your joy, your clarity. But if you are fully awake, if your eyes are open to the present, the thief has no power. He cannot enter a house filled with awareness. In the same way, worry only survives when you are absent from the present moment. But the moment you return, the moment you anchor yourself in what is real, the sound of your breath, the rhythm of your heart, the sensations of life around you, worry vanishes like mist in the sun. Have you ever noticed how worry disappears when you are deeply absorbed in something you love? When you are creating or laughing with friends or watching the beauty of a sunset, for a moment there is no tomorrow, no fear, no endless what if. There is only now. And in that now, you feel alive, free, at peace. This is proof that peace is not far away. It is here. It is only worry that carries you away from it. The present moment is not something you must earn. It is something you must return to. Imagine a candle flame in a dark room. Worry is the darkness, spreading fear and confusion. But the moment you bring in the flame of presence, the darkness disappears. Not because it was destroyed, but because it was never truly real. Darkness is only the absence of light. Worry is only the absence of presence. When you live mindfully, you live in the light, and worry cannot survive there. The mind will always try to run into the future because it craves certainty. It believes that if it can predict tomorrow, it will be safe. But tomorrow has never belonged to you. Life has never asked you to live in tomorrow. It only asks you to live in today, to take the step before you, to breathe the breath that is here, to see the moment you are in. Worry is the attempt to live in a place where life does not exist. No wonder it feels so exhausting. It is like chasing shadows. The present moment, however, is rich beyond measure. It holds everything you need. Look deeply, and you will see that most of your worries are not happening here and now. They are imagined, projected, created by thought. Right now, in this very second, you are breathing, your heart is beating, life is sustaining you. There is water, There is air, there is ground beneath your feet. Even if difficulties exist, they exist here in a form you can meet, not in the countless exaggerated versions your mind invents. The present moment reduces worry to its true size, something small, not the monster your thoughts made it. Buddhism uses the image of the monkey mind, always restless, always jumping from branch to branch, never still. Worry is the monkey mind leaping into imagined futures, screaming warnings, demanding attention. But mindfulness tames the monkey. It does not silence it by force, but by gently bringing attention back to now. Each time you notice your breath, each time you notice your step, each time you bring awareness to the present, you train the mind to sit, to rest, to stop running endlessly into fear. Over time, worry weakens, not because you fought it, but because you stopped feeding it with your absence. Consider how a child plays. For a child, there is only now. They are not thinking of tomorrow's failures or yesterday's regrets. They are alive in their game, their laughter, their imagination. This is why children radiate joy. They live where life actually exists. Adults lose this because we let the mind drag us into timelines that do not exist. But the present has not changed. It is still here, waiting, offering peace. The invitation is simple: return. Even in suffering, the present moment offers strength. Worry multiplies suffering by making you live it before it even arrives. But when you are present, you deal only with what is here, not with 1,000 imagined versions. If you are sick, you meet the pain in this moment, not in tomorrow's fears. If you face loss, you feel the grief now, not the endless imagined losses of the future. The present moment does not erase pain, but it reduces it to what it actually is, something bearable, something you can meet step by step. There is a Zen saying, when walking, walk. When eating, eat. It sounds simple, but it contains the whole secret. Worry makes you walk while thinking of tomorrow. It makes you eat while imagining loss. It makes you live half a life, always somewhere else, never here. But when you walk and simply walk, when you eat and simply eat, you discover peace in ordinary moments. The taste of food, the sound of footsteps, the breath in your lungs, all become gateways to freedom. The present moment is stronger than every worry because it is reality, while worry is illusion. Illusions fade when faced with truth. By returning to the present, you return to truth, and truth always sets you free. So remember this: worry will always try to pull you into tomorrow, but tomorrow is not yours to live yet. The only place you can ever truly live is now. The only breath you can ever breathe is this one. The only step you can ever take is the one beneath your feet. The more you return to now, the more worry loses its grip, and the more life reveals its peace. The present moment is not small. It is infinite, and the moment you rest in it, you will see that it holds everything you need. Worry cannot survive here. Fear cannot rule here. Peace is always here, and the more you live in it, the freer you become. Beyond worry lies courage and inner strength. Worry convinces you that you are weak. It whispers that you cannot handle what is coming, that you are too fragile to face uncertainty, that unless you rehearse every fear in your mind, you will be destroyed by life. But if you look back at your journey, you will see the truth. Every single difficulty you have faced, you survived. Every storm you thought would break you, you walked through. Every loss you thought would end you, you endured. Every wound you thought would remain forever open, you healed from. This is proof that beneath worry, there is a strength you do not always see. And when you let go of worry, you uncover this hidden strength. Beyond worry lies courage, and beyond courage lies the unshakable power of your spirit. Buddhism teaches that fear and courage are not opposites. They are part of the same path. Fear arises in the mind, but courage arises when you meet fear with awareness and acceptance. Worry, however, does not allow courage to appear. Worry makes you circle endlessly in fear without ever stepping forward. It is like a bird that flaps its wings inside the cage but never takes flight. The cage is not locked, the door is open, but the bird believes that flight is too dangerous. Yet the moment the bird dares to step beyond the bars, it discovers the vastness of the sky. This is what happens when you let go of worry. You discover that fear was never your master. It was only the threshold to your strength. Consider how fire is born. To create flame, a spark must meet resistance, the rough strike of stone against stone. In the same way, courage is born when you allow yourself to face fear directly instead of hiding inside worry. Worry is circling the stones endlessly, imagining sparks that never come. Courage is striking once, meeting the resistance, and discovering the flame. And that flame, once lit, burns away the illusions that worry has created. Think of the lotus flower, a symbol deeply revered in Buddhism. The lotus grows not in clear water, but in mud. It rises slowly, pushing through darkness, reaching for the surface. If it worried constantly about the mud, if it said, "I cannot grow here, I will never survive this darkness," it would remain stuck. But instead, it trusts the process. It uses the mud as nourishment, and in doing so, it blooms into beauty. In the same way, your challenges, the things you worry about, are not here to destroy you. They are the mud from which your courage will grow. By worrying less and trusting more, you allow yourself to rise, to bloom, to reveal your inner strength. Worry shrinks your vision. It makes you believe that one wrong step will ruin everything, that one loss will erase your future. But courage expands your vision. It shows you that you are bigger than your fears, that life is larger than your setbacks, that you are capable of more than your anxious mind allows you to believe. Every act of courage begins with letting go of the need to control everything. It begins with saying, "I do not know what will happen, but I will meet it when it comes." This attitude alone transforms you from a prisoner of fear into a warrior of presence. Have you ever noticed how much energy worry steals from you? It drains you before the battle even begins. It makes you live every disaster in your imagination, so by the time real life arrives, you are already exhausted. Courage does the opposite. Courage conserves your energy by focusing only on what is real. Instead of rehearsing 1,000 failures, it saves its strength for the one reality that actually arrives. And when that reality comes, courage is steady, grounded, ready. This is why letting go of worry is not recklessness. It is wisdom. It is refusing to waste your energy on illusions so that you can meet reality with all your strength. In Buddhist practice, meditation trains you to sit with discomfort without running away. This is courage in its purest form, not the absence of fear, but the willingness to be present with it. Worry is running, hiding, resisting. Courage is sitting, breathing, seeing. The more you practice presence, the more you discover that fear is not as powerful as you thought. It comes, it passes, and what remains is you, calmer, stronger, wiser. Each time you sit with fear, without worrying about it, your courage grows. There is a story of a monk who once traveled through a forest at night. He saw a snake on the path and froze in fear, unable to move forward. For hours he worried about what might happen if he tried to pass it. Finally, as dawn broke, he saw the snake clearly. It was only a rope. Worry had made him live the whole night in terror, paralyzed when the truth was harmless all along. This is how worry robs us. It makes us freeze before illusions. Courage is walking forward, trusting that even if it is a snake, you will find the strength to face it. And more often than not, you will discover that it was only a rope. When you let go of worry, you begin to hear a new voice inside you, a voice that says, "You are capable, you are strong, you can endure more than you think, you can rise higher than you fear." This is the voice of courage, and it has been waiting beneath the noise of worry all along. Courage is not loud. It does not shout like worry does. It is quiet, steady, and patient. You only hear it when you silence the noise of endless, anxious thoughts. Worry imprisons you in imagined suffering. Courage liberates you into real living. Beyond worry, you do not become careless. You become alive. You begin to take steps you once avoided, to embrace opportunities you once feared, to live fully instead of half-heartedly. Your inner strength grows not by avoiding fear, but by meeting it without the chains of worry. And as this strength grows, you realize something profound. You were never as fragile as you believed. So remember this: beyond worry lies courage, and beyond courage lies freedom. Worry will try to tell you that you cannot survive uncertainty, but your life itself is proof that you can. You have always survived uncertainty, and you always will. The moment you let go of worry, you uncover the inner strength that was waiting within you all along. And once you live from that strength, fear no longer rules you. You rule it. When you walk this path, life changes. You no longer live as a prisoner of what if. You live as a being of courage, rising like the lotus from the mud, meeting life as it comes, trusting your own strength and trusting the wisdom of the universe. And in that courage, you find a peace and power that worry could never give you. Gratitude blossoms when worry fades. Worry narrows the mind. It makes you focus only on what might go wrong, on what you do not have, on what you fear losing. It is like a fog that covers the landscape of your life, hiding all the beauty that is already there. Gratitude, on the other hand, expands the mind. It opens your eyes to blessings you had overlooked, to miracles you had taken for granted, to the simple joys that exist even in the middle of difficulty. But here is the truth. Worry and gratitude cannot live in the same space. When worry fills your heart, gratitude fades. When gratitude fills your heart, worry disappears. This is why learning to let go of worry is not only about finding peace. It is about making room for gratitude to blossom. Buddhism teaches us to practice mindfulness of the present moment. Gratitude naturally arises when you are present, because you begin to notice what is here instead of obsessing over what might come. Worry always pulls you into the future. It makes you live in fears of what you may lose, what you may lack, what may go wrong tomorrow. Gratitude brings you back to now. It says, look, right here, you are breathing. Right here, you have life. Right here, the world is offering you something to be thankful for. When you live in worry, you are blind to these gifts. But when you let go, your vision clears, and gratitude becomes your natural response to life. Think of the morning sun. It rises every day, painting the sky with light. But when you are lost in worry, you do not notice it. Your eyes are open, but your mind is closed, too full of what if to see the miracle above you. Gratitude opens your eyes again. It allows you to see the sunrise not as a routine, but as a gift. The same is true for everything in life: your breath, your food, your loved ones, the ground beneath your feet. Gratitude turns ordinary things into treasures. Worry robs them of their value. There is a Buddhist teaching that says, enough is a feast. Worry convinces you that you never have enough. It tells you that you must constantly chase more security, more certainty, more control, before you can finally feel safe. But gratitude reveals that what you already have is enough. It shows you that even the simplest things, when appreciated deeply, are abundant. A glass of water, when received with gratitude, is a feast. A single breath, when received with awareness, is a miracle. Letting go of worry allows you to see life this way, not as a race toward what you lack, but as a banquet of blessings already before you. Gratitude also transforms how you experience challenges. Worry makes challenges feel unbearable. It magnifies them, telling you that you cannot survive, that everything is ruined, that life is unfair. But gratitude shifts your perspective. It allows you to see that even in hardship, there are lessons, growth, and hidden gifts. Think of the lotus flower once more. Its roots are buried in mud, yet from that mud, it grows into beauty. Gratitude sees the mud not only as dirt, but as nourishment. When you face challenges with gratitude, you begin to see them as opportunities to grow, to deepen your compassion, to strengthen your spirit. Worry sees only the darkness. Gratitude sees the light waiting to emerge. Have you noticed how heavy your body feels when you worry? Your shoulders tighten, your breath shortens, your chest feels heavy. Now compare that with how you feel when you are grateful. Your body softens, your heart feels lighter, your mind feels calm. Gratitude is not only a spiritual practice, it is medicine for the body. Scientific studies confirm what ancient wisdom has always known. Gratitude lowers stress, strengthens the heart, and increases happiness. But you cannot taste its medicine while your heart is filled with worry. You must let go first, so gratitude can take root. Worry lives in comparison. It says, what if others are better than me? What if I fall behind? What if I lose what they have? Gratitude ends comparison. It says, what I have is enough. Who I am is enough. This moment is enough. Worry makes you run endlessly, chasing shadows. Gratitude makes you stop, breathe, and savor the gifts already in your hands. There is a story told of two monks walking together. One monk constantly worried, saying, what if it rains later? What if the food is not enough? What if the journey is too long? The other monk simply pointed to a flower blooming by the path and said, look. The first monk was too busy worrying to see it. The second monk was too busy being grateful to worry. This is the difference between living in fear and living in appreciation. One mind misses life while waiting for the worst. The other savors life while it is here. When you practice gratitude, you begin to see that life is not against you. It is for you. Every breath, every sunrise, every friend, every lesson is a gift. Gratitude teaches you to trust that even when life removes something, it often gives something else in its place. Worry makes you fear what you will lose. Gratitude makes you trust what you will gain. So, how can you invite gratitude into your life? Begin by noticing. Each morning, instead of rushing into worry, pause and ask, what is one thing I can be thankful for right now? It may be something small, the warmth of your bed, the sound of birds, the chance to see another day. In noticing, gratitude grows. With each moment of gratitude, worry weakens. Gratitude and worry cannot breathe in the same space. The more you feed gratitude, the less oxygen worry has. And here is the secret. Gratitude itself is a form of surrender. It is saying yes to life as it is, instead of resisting it. It is accepting what is here, instead of worrying about what might be missing. It is opening your heart to the abundance of now, instead of closing it with fear of tomorrow. Gratitude is the flower that blooms when the weeds of worry are pulled away. So remember this, worry will always try to pull you into fear, lack, and comparison. But gratitude will always bring you back to peace, abundance, and trust. When you let go of worry, gratitude blossoms naturally, and with it comes joy, clarity, and freedom. Gratitude turns the smallest moments into miracles, and it teaches you that life is not something to fear, it is something to cherish. When gratitude fills your heart, worry has no place to stay. And when worry is gone, you discover that life has been generous all along. You only needed to see it. Compassion awakens where worry dissolves. Worry is a very self-centered energy, though most people do not realize it. When the mind is wrapped in worry, it turns inward, circling endlessly around my fears, my problems, my what-ifs. It narrows your world until everything becomes about survival, control, and imagined danger. In this state, you lose touch with others, and you even lose touch with yourself in a deeper way. You become harsh toward your own heart, demanding perfection, punishing yourself for mistakes, criticizing yourself for not being in control. But when worry dissolves, something beautiful arises in its place: compassion. Compassion for yourself and compassion for others. Buddhism teaches that compassion is not an extra ornament for the spiritual life. It is the very essence of awakening. The Buddha's wisdom was inseparable from his compassion. Why? Because when the fog of fear and worry clears, what remains is the open heart, naturally ready to love, to forgive, to understand. Worry makes you hard, closed, and defensive. Letting go makes you soft, open, and kind. And in that softness, compassion blossoms like a flower after rain. Think about how you speak to yourself when you are consumed by worry. You often scold yourself. Why can't I stop thinking like this? Why am I so weak? Why can't I fix this? Worry makes you an enemy to yourself. But what if instead you spoke to yourself with compassion? I am suffering right now. I am afraid. But I am human, and it is okay to feel this way. May I find peace. May I be kind to myself. This shift in inner dialogue is the beginning of compassion. And the moment you begin to treat yourself with compassion, worry starts to lose its hold, because it thrives only in an environment of self-criticism. When you let go of worry, you also see others more clearly. Worry narrows your vision to your own anxieties. You pass by others without noticing their struggles, because you are too absorbed in your own. But once worry dissolves, your vision expands. You begin to notice that others too are carrying invisible burdens. You see the tired eyes of the person at the market, the quiet sadness in a friend's smile, the restlessness in a stranger's voice. And when you notice, compassion naturally arises. You realize that worry has not only stolen your peace, it has also blinded you to the suffering and beauty of those around you. Compassion is not only about helping others, it is also about softening your relationship with life itself. Worry treats life like an enemy, always preparing for attack, always expecting harm. Compassion treats life like a friend, recognizing that even when challenges come, they come with lessons, with growth, with opportunities to deepen understanding. Compassion does not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" but instead, "How can I meet this moment with kindness?" This shift alone dissolves much of the suffering that worry creates. There is a Buddhist practice called metta, or loving kindness meditation. In it, you begin by sending wishes of peace to yourself. May I be safe? May I be healthy? May I be at ease? Then you extend the same wishes to others. May you be safe, may you be healthy, may you be at ease. You continue extending this circle of compassion wider and wider until it embraces all beings. What is beautiful is this: you cannot practice metta while clinging to worry. The moment you shift into compassion, worry fades, because the energy of love and the energy of fear cannot occupy the same space. Worry is heavy, but compassion is light. Worry isolates you, but compassion connects you. Worry contracts the heart, but compassion expands it. And when the heart expands, peace flows naturally. Imagine carrying a heavy stone close to your chest. It weighs you down, it limits your movement, it hurts your body. This is worry. Now imagine setting down the stone and opening your arms wide. You feel light, free, and connected. This is compassion. The act of letting go of worry is the act of setting down the stone, making space for love to flow outward again. Compassion also changes how you view your past. Many people worry not only about the future, but about mistakes they made before. They replay them endlessly, punishing themselves with guilt. But compassion says, I was doing the best I could with the understanding I had then. I suffered, I struggled, but I learned. This kindness toward your past self dissolves regret. It turns worry about what I did wrong into gratitude for what I have learned. And compassion transforms how you imagine the future. Worry sees the future as a place of danger. Compassion sees the future as a place where kindness will guide you through whatever comes. You say to yourself, whatever happens, I will meet it with gentleness. Whatever challenges come, I will not abandon myself. I will walk through them with compassion. Suddenly, the future feels less frightening because you know you have a faithful companion, your own kind heart. Compassion also softens your relationships. When you are worried, you may become impatient with others, snapping at them, judging them, expecting them to solve your fears. But when you live in compassion, you respond differently. You listen more deeply, you forgive more easily, you give more freely. You realize that others, like you, are fighting silent battles. And just as you need kindness, they need it too. In this way, letting go of worry not only frees your own heart, but also heals the hearts of those around you. Buddhism often reminds us that all beings want the same thing: to be happy, to avoid suffering, to live in peace. Worry separates us. It makes us feel like our pain is unique, our fears are isolated. Compassion unites us. It reminds us that we are all walking this path together. And in that shared humanity, your own burdens feel lighter. When you see the struggles of others, you realize you are not alone. Compassion dissolves the loneliness that worry creates. So remember this: worry closes the heart, but letting go opens it. And in that opening, compassion blossoms. Compassion for yourself, compassion for others, compassion for life itself. This compassion becomes a shield stronger than any worry because it transforms how you meet every moment. Fear may still come, uncertainty may still arrive, but you meet them with kindness instead of panic, with understanding instead of resistance. And in this way, your life becomes not a battlefield of worry, but a garden of compassion. Compassion is the natural flower of freedom. When worry fades, compassion grows. And when compassion grows, life itself feels lighter, softer, and more radiant. Worry blinds you. Wisdom guides you. Worry makes you believe that you are being wise. It convinces you that by constantly rehearsing problems in your mind, you are preparing, planning, and protecting yourself. But in truth, worry is not wisdom. Worry is noise, confusion, and illusion. Wisdom is quiet, clear, and steady. Worry clouds your vision. Wisdom opens your eyes. The two cannot coexist in the same space. And here is the liberating truth. When you let go of worry, you do not become careless. You create space for true wisdom to guide you. Buddhism teaches that the mind, when calm, reflects reality like a clear mirror. But when restless, filled with worry, the mind becomes like a mirror covered with dust. You cannot see things as they truly are. You only see distortions. Worry is the dust. Wisdom is the clarity underneath. No matter how thick the dust, the mirror has not lost its power to reflect. It only needs to be cleaned. In the same way, your mind has not lost its wisdom. It is only hidden beneath layers of worry. When you release worry, you are polishing the mirror of your mind, and wisdom naturally shines through. Think of a lake on a windy day. The water is disturbed, rippling, chaotic. You cannot see the reflection of the mountains or the sky. But when the wind stops, the lake grows still, and suddenly everything is reflected with perfect clarity. Worry is the wind that disturbs your inner lake. Wisdom is the reflection waiting underneath. When you let go of worry, the ripples settle and clarity returns. Decisions become easier, understanding grows deeper, and life feels less like a storm and more like a flowing river. Worry thrives on illusion. It takes small possibilities and inflates them into disasters. It invents problems where none exist. It tells you stories about the future as if they are facts. But wisdom sees reality as it is. It does not exaggerate. It does not deny. It does not dramatize. It simply sees. This clear seeing allows you to act wisely. Instead of panicking over illusions, you focus on what is real, what is present, and what can actually be done. Wisdom saves energy. Worry wastes it. Wisdom guides your steps. Worry makes you stumble in circles. When you are worried, you often make poor decisions. Fear drives you to act impulsively or to avoid acting at all. But when you let go of worry, wisdom arises and you act with steadiness. For example, imagine a traveler lost in a forest. If he panics and runs in every direction, he becomes more lost. But if he sits calmly, observes the stars, listens to the sounds, and pays attention to the path, he will find his way. Worry is running blindly. Wisdom is pausing, observing, and then moving with clarity. Buddhism often speaks of right view, seeing things as they truly are. Worry prevents right view because it covers reality with projections of fear. You do not see the situation itself, you see your imagination of it. Wisdom arises when you release those projections and return to reality. For example, when you worry about failing, you are not actually facing failure. You are facing a story in your mind about what failure might mean. Wisdom sees failure for what it is: a teacher, a step, a lesson, not an ending. The moment you shift from worry to wisdom, the same situation transforms from a monster into a mentor. Letting go of worry also connects you with the deeper rhythms of life. Worry is short-sighted. It looks only at the next moment, the next problem. Wisdom is spacious. It sees the larger pattern. It understands that storms pass, that seasons change, that pain transforms into growth. With wisdom, you do not panic in winter because you trust that spring will come. You do not despair in darkness because you know that dawn follows night. Worry forgets these truths. Wisdom remembers them. And in remembering, it brings peace. Have you noticed how much wisdom appears when you are calm? Think of times when you were deeply worried. You probably could not think clearly, could not see options, could not find solutions. Then, when you finally calmed down, perhaps after a walk, a meditation, or simply a night of rest, suddenly the answer appeared. This is not coincidence. This is the natural intelligence of the mind. Wisdom does not shout, it whispers. And you can only hear its whisper when worry stops screaming. There is a Zen story about a professor who visited a master to learn about enlightenment. The master served him tea but kept pouring until the cup overflowed. The professor cried out, "Stop! It is already full." The master replied, "Exactly. Your mind is like this cup, too full of opinions and worries. How can I teach you unless you first empty it?" Worry fills your mind until there is no room for wisdom. Letting go is emptying the cup. Wisdom is what flows in once there is space. Wisdom also teaches compassion. When you are worried, you judge quickly. You see threats everywhere. You interpret others harshly. You assume the worst. But wisdom sees deeply. It sees that others, like you, are struggling, fearing, and hoping. It sees that everyone is walking their own path of suffering and growth. Worry makes you close your heart. Wisdom opens it. And in that openness, relationships heal, forgiveness becomes possible, and love flows more freely. Perhaps the greatest gift of wisdom is trust. Worry says, "I must know everything now. I must control everything now." Wisdom says, "I cannot know everything, and I do not need to. I will live this moment fully, and when the next moment comes, I will meet it with presence." Wisdom does not fear uncertainty. It embraces it as the natural fabric of life. It understands that you are not meant to control the river, only to flow with it. So remember this: worry blinds you, but wisdom guides you. Worry is loud, but wisdom is quiet. Worry wastes your energy, but wisdom focuses it. And wisdom is not something you must chase. It is already within you, waiting beneath the noise. All you must do is let go of worry, settle into stillness, and allow it to arise. When you live in wisdom instead of worry, your life changes. You no longer panic in uncertainty. You trust. You no longer waste energy on illusions. You act on reality. You no longer feel lost. You feel guided. And in this guidance, you find peace. Letting go of worry is the beginning of true freedom. Freedom is a word we often misunderstand. We think of it as having endless choices, doing whatever we want, or living without limits. But the deepest freedom is not about what happens outside of you. True freedom is an inner state. It is the ability to live without being ruled by fear, without being imprisoned by anxiety, without being chained by worry. You may live in a world with endless opportunities, but if your heart is heavy with worry, you are not free. And you may live in modest conditions with limited choices, but if you have let go of worry, you are free. This is why Buddhism teaches that liberation begins not with changing the world, but with transforming the mind. Worry is one of the greatest prisons we create for ourselves. It locks you into a cell of imagined dangers, keeping you awake at night, stealing your energy during the day, and convincing you that you must prepare endlessly for disasters that may never come. Inside this prison, you live cautiously, holding back your dreams, avoiding risks, mistrusting joy. You tell yourself, "I cannot be happy yet. I must first be certain that nothing will go wrong." But certainty never arrives, and so you wait and worry and miss the freedom of living now. The bars of this prison are invisible. They are made of what if. What if I fail? What if they leave me? What if I lose everything? But if you look closely, you will see that the bars are not real. They exist only in thought. Life is happening here and now, outside the prison, waiting for you. The door has always been open. You are the one holding yourself inside. Letting go of worry is stepping through that door. It is realizing that freedom was never far away. It was only hidden behind your fear. Think of a bird in the sky. The bird does not stop to calculate every possible danger before it takes flight. It does not refuse to fly because the wind might be strong tomorrow. It spreads its wings and soars, trusting the air to carry it. That is freedom, not because the sky is without risk, but because the bird refuses to be imprisoned by fear of what might happen. When you let go of worry, you live like that bird. You may still face storms, but you do not chain yourself to the ground out of fear of them. You fly. True freedom also means freedom from the endless need to control. Worry is control disguised as care. It convinces you that if you keep thinking about the problem, you will prevent it. But in reality, life is never fully in your control. The weather changes, people change, circumstances shift. No amount of worrying can stop the impermanence of life. Buddhism teaches that everything is impermanent, rising, falling, beginning, ending. To resist this truth is suffering. To accept it is freedom. The moment you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you begin to breathe again. Letting go of worry does not mean recklessness. It does not mean abandoning responsibility. It means focusing on what is within your hands and releasing what is not. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. He waters them, tends the soil, protects them from weeds, but he cannot control the rain, the sun, or the timing of growth. If he spends every day worrying about these things, he will be miserable. But if he does his part and then trusts the process, he will find peace. This is true freedom, caring without clinging, acting without being consumed by anxiety. Worry is exhausting because it forces you to live your suffering twice. Once in your imagination and again in reality if the challenge actually comes. Freedom means you suffer only when life requires it, not before. Imagine carrying an umbrella every single day, indoors and outdoors, in case it might rain. You tire yourself unnecessarily, even on sunny days. Worry is like this, carrying burdens for storms that never arrive. Letting go is setting down the umbrella until the rain actually comes. Then, when it does, you face it with strength, but you do not waste your life fearing it in advance. Buddhism reminds us that worry comes from attachment, the belief that things must go exactly as we wish in order for us to be safe. Freedom comes from release, the understanding that safety lies not in controlling outcomes, but in trusting ourselves to meet them. When you let go of worry, you begin to live with openness. You take steps you once avoided. You embrace possibilities you once feared. You allow joy to enter without waiting for guarantees. This is freedom, not a life without challenges, but a life without chains. Have you noticed how much more alive you feel when you are not worried? Think of moments when you were absorbed in nature, or laughing deeply, or creating something with love. In those moments, worry was gone, and you felt free. This shows you that freedom is not something you must achieve later. It is available whenever you release fear. Each time you let go of worry, even for a moment, you taste freedom. And the more you practice, the more that taste becomes your natural way of living. Freedom also brings courage. Worry keeps you cautious, small, afraid of stepping outside the familiar. But when you let go, you discover that you can live boldly, not because you are certain of success, but because you are no longer controlled by fear of failure. Freedom is the courage to live your truth, to follow your path, to face uncertainty with trust instead of panic. And this courage itself deepens your freedom, because every step you take outside the prison of worry makes the prison weaker. There is a story in Zen about a man who was chased by a tiger to the edge of a cliff. He grabbed a vine and hung over the edge. Above him was the tiger. Below him, another tiger. As he clung to the vine, he saw a strawberry growing nearby. He reached out, picked it, and ate it, savoring its sweetness. That was freedom, not escaping the tigers, but refusing to let worry steal the sweetness of the present. Freedom is not the absence of difficulty. It is the presence of awareness, gratitude, and courage in the middle of it. So remember this. True freedom begins not when life is perfect, but when you let go of worry. It begins when you step out of the prison of imagined fears and walk into the openness of the present. It begins when you stop clinging to control and start trusting the flow. It begins when you stop living in fear of what might be lost and start living in appreciation of what is here. When you release worry, you do not just gain peace, you gain freedom. Freedom to live, freedom to love, freedom to dream, freedom to be. And in this freedom, you discover that life is not something to survive. It is something to embrace. Joy emerges when worry fades. Worry is heavy. It presses on the heart like a stone. It darkens the mind like a storm. It drains the body like a hidden illness. When worry fills your life, joy feels distant, almost impossible. You tell yourself, I will be joyful when the problems are solved, when the future is certain, when everything is safe. But joy does not wait for perfect conditions. Joy is your natural state, hidden beneath the noise of worry, just as the blue sky is hidden behind the clouds. The sky does not disappear because clouds cover it. It remains vast and radiant, waiting to be revealed. In the same way, your joy does not disappear because worry covers it. It is always here, waiting for you to release fear so it can shine again. Buddhism teaches that suffering often comes not from what is happening, but from how the mind reacts to it. Worry is one of the greatest thieves of joy because it makes you live in a world of imagination instead of reality. Imagine sitting in a beautiful garden surrounded by flowers and birdsong, yet your mind is trapped in tomorrow's fears. You do not see the flowers, you do not hear the birds, you are absent. This is what worry does. It blinds you to the beauty of the present, hiding joy that is already here. But the moment you let go, the moment you breathe deeply into now, you begin to notice again. You see the colors, you hear the sounds, you feel the life around you. Joy emerges not because life changed, but because you return to it. Joy is simple, worry is complicated. Worry spins endless stories, weaving fear upon fear, drowning you in what if. Joy does not need a story. It arises in small moments. The taste of tea, the sound of laughter, the warmth of sunlight, the softness of your breath. When you let go of worry, you rediscover these simple joys, and you realize that they were never small. They were the essence of life. Worry makes you postpone joy for the future. Letting go allows you to live it now. Consider how children live. They laugh easily, play freely, and find joy in the smallest things. A puddle of water becomes an ocean, a stick becomes a sword, a smile becomes a celebration. Why? Because they are not consumed by worry. They live fully in the present. Their joy is not dependent on perfect conditions. It flows naturally from their presence. As adults, we lose this because we let worry dominate our minds. But the childlike joy has not disappeared. It still lives inside you. To let go of worry is to return to it. Worry often disguises itself as responsibility. You may think, if I stop worrying, I will stop caring. If I let go, I will become careless. But joy and responsibility can coexist. In fact, they strengthen one another. A joyful mind is more creative, more resilient, more capable of solving problems than a worried one. Worry clouds judgment, joy clears it. Worry exhausts energy, joy renews it. By letting go of worry, you do not abandon responsibility, you enhance it. You meet challenges not with panic, but with lightness, and that lightness allows you to move through life with greater wisdom and strength. There is a Buddhist teaching that says, happiness is not having what you want, but wanting what you have. Worry is always chasing what you do not yet have, always fearing what you may lose. It keeps you running endlessly toward a future that never arrives. Joy arises when you pause, breathe, and recognize the gifts already in your hands. Your life may not be perfect, but perfection was never the requirement for joy. Joy arises from appreciation, from presence, from the ability to see beauty in imperfection. Think of music. If you worry about when the song will end, you cannot enjoy the notes as they come. If you worry about mistakes, you cannot dance to its rhythm. Joy is dancing with the music of life as it plays. Worry is standing still, fearing the end of the song. When you let go, you allow yourself to dance again. Not because the song will last forever, but because it is here now, and that is enough. Joy also brings resilience. A worried mind breaks under pressure because it is already heavy with fear. A joyful mind bends without breaking because it is light. Think of bamboo in the wind. It does not resist. It does not worry about the storm. It sways, it bends, and when the storm passes, it stands upright again. Joy makes you like bamboo, flexible, adaptable, unshakable. Worry makes you brittle, ready to snap at the slightest wind. When you release worry and cultivate joy, you discover a strength far greater than fear could ever provide. There is a Zen story of a monk sweeping the temple courtyard. A visitor asked him, "Why are you so joyful, even in such ordinary work?" The monk replied, "Because when I sweep, I sweep. When I walk, I walk. When I breathe, I breathe. And in that, joy is always here." This is the essence of joy. It does not come from extraordinary events, but from extraordinary presence in ordinary life. Worry robs you of this presence. Letting go restores it. Joy is also contagious. When you live with worry, others feel your heaviness. Your fear spreads. Your restlessness ripples outward. But when you live with joy, you lift others. Your smile softens their hearts. Your laughter invites them to breathe. Your presence becomes a reminder that peace is possible. By letting go of worry, you do not only free yourself, you free those around you. Your joy becomes a light that guides others out of their darkness. And here lies the final truth. Joy is not something you must earn. It is not waiting for you at the end of your worries after every problem is solved. It is your birthright, your natural state. It is already here, underneath the noise of fear. The practice is simple but profound. Notice when you are lost in worry, breathe, and return to now. In this return, joy begins to emerge. It may start small, like a flicker of warmth in the chest. But the more you nurture it with presence, the stronger it grows, until it becomes your natural way of being. So remember this: worry is a cloud, joy is the sky. Worry is temporary, joy is eternal. The more you let go of worry, the more you uncover the joy that was always within you. And once you live in that joy, life no longer feels like a burden, it feels like a gift. Trusting the unfolding of life. At the root of every worry lies mistrust. The mind whispers, "What if life fails me? What if I am not safe? What if the future betrays me?" And so, in its fear, the mind clings tightly to control, trying to prepare for every outcome, trying to predict every possibility, trying to guard against every unknown. But here is the truth. Life has been unfolding long before you arrived, and it will continue long after. The trees grow, the rivers flow, the seasons change, the stars move across the sky, all without your control. The same intelligence that guides the universe also guides your life. To let go of worry is to begin trusting this unfolding, to believe that life knows what it is doing, even when you cannot see the full picture. Buddhism often speaks of impermanence, the truth that everything is always changing. Worry arises when you resist this truth. You cling to what you want to keep forever, or you fear what you cannot control tomorrow. But impermanence is not an enemy. It is the very reason growth is possible. If nothing changed, no pain would heal, no night would turn into day, no seed would become a tree. To worry about impermanence is to miss its gift. To trust impermanence is to understand that nothing is final and that even the darkest season is temporary. Think of the caterpillar. If it worried endlessly about losing its form, it would never enter the cocoon. Yet by surrendering, by trusting the process, it transforms into a butterfly. The caterpillar does not know what it will become, but life knows. This is how your life also works. You may not always see the larger pattern, but life is shaping you, guiding you, transforming you. Worry says, "I must control this." Trust says, "I will surrender and allow the unfolding." Worry shrinks your vision. It makes you focus on small details, exaggerating problems until they fill your entire view. Trust expands your vision. It reminds you that this moment, no matter how difficult, is only a chapter in a larger story. Think of reading a book. You do not judge the whole story by one painful chapter because you trust that more pages will follow, that new turns will come. Life is the same. When you trust its unfolding, you allow space for new chapters to arrive, for unexpected blessings to emerge, for hidden wisdom to reveal itself. When you are consumed by worry, you live in resistance. You are like someone standing in a river, pushing against the current, exhausting yourself in a battle you cannot win. Trust is learning to float. It is not passivity, it is wisdom. It is understanding that the river has its own direction and that by flowing with it, you conserve your energy, you move with grace, and you still arrive where you are meant to be. The current of life is not your enemy. Worry makes it feel heavy, but trust reveals that it is carrying you. Trust also changes your relationship with uncertainty. Worry sees uncertainty as a threat, a dangerous gap that must be filled with endless thinking. But trust sees uncertainty as possibility. It is the open space where miracles can enter, where surprises can appear, where life can give you more than you imagined. Remember, every blessing in your life once lived in uncertainty. The friends you love, the opportunities you received, the moments of beauty you cherish, they all began as unknowns. If you had worried them away, you would have missed them. Trust transforms uncertainty from a burden into a gift. There is a story told in Zen about a farmer. His horse ran away, and the neighbors said, "How unlucky." The farmer replied, "Maybe." Days later, the horse returned with 2 more, and the neighbors said, "How fortunate." Again, the farmer said, "Maybe." Later, his son broke his leg while riding one of the horses, and the neighbors said, "How terrible." The farmer once again replied, "Maybe." Soon after, soldiers came to take young men to war, but his son was spared because of his broken leg. The neighbors said, "How lucky." Still, the farmer replied, "Maybe." The story reminds us that life's unfolding cannot always be judged in the moment. What seems like loss may lead to protection. What seems like misfortune may lead to blessing. Worry tries to label everything immediately. Trust allows you to wait, to see, to believe that life's wisdom is deeper than your limited perspective. Trust also brings peace to the heart. Worry keeps your chest tight, your breath shallow, your body restless. You live on edge, always preparing for danger. But when you trust, the body softens. You breathe more deeply, your shoulders relax, your heart opens. You are no longer living in constant fight or flight. Instead, you live in ease. This does not mean you will never face challenges. It means you will meet them with calm instead of panic. The challenge may remain, but the suffering you add through worry is gone. When you trust life's unfolding, you also begin to see beauty in imperfection. Worry demands that everything go exactly as planned, that no mistake be made, that no path ever twist. But trust sees that even the crooked path has value, that even mistakes teach wisdom, that even detours lead to discovery. Life does not waste anything. Every joy, every sorrow, every loss, every gain becomes part of your growth. Worry fears mistakes. Trust transforms them. So how do you cultivate this trust? Begin small. Notice how life already sustains you without your constant control. Your heart beats, your lungs breathe, your body heals, the sun rises, the earth turns. None of this depends on your worrying. Life is already working for you. Each time you notice this, your trust grows. Practice surrender in little ways. Release the small worries. Breathe through uncertainty. Remind yourself, I do not need to know everything. I will meet life as it comes. Over time, this trust becomes your natural way of living. And here lies the ultimate freedom. When you let go of worry and trust life's unfolding, you no longer live as a prisoner of fear. You live as a participant in the dance of existence. You stop resisting the music and begin moving with it. You stop demanding certainty and begin savoring the mystery. You stop clinging to control and begin discovering peace. So remember this, worry says, life cannot be trusted. Trust says, life is guiding me even when I cannot see how. Worry imprisons you in fear. Trust frees you into peace. And when you live in trust, you discover that life has always been unfolding in your favor. Not always giving what you wanted, but always giving what you needed to grow, to awaken, to become who you truly are. Stillness is the power that replaces worry. Worry is movement without direction. It is the mind running endlessly in circles, chasing fears, rehearsing problems, inventing disasters. You feel busy, but you go nowhere. It is like rocking in a chair. You expend energy, but remain in the same place. Stillness, however, is the opposite. Stillness is not stagnation. It is not laziness. It is presence. It is the deep calm at the center of the storm, the place within you that remains unshaken no matter what happens around you. And here lies the truth. Only when you let go of worry can you discover this stillness. And once you discover it, you realize that stillness is not weakness. It is the greatest power. Buddhism has long taught the importance of stillness through meditation. When you sit quietly, the first thing you notice is how restless the mind is. It jumps, it wanders, it worries. It feels as though it will never settle. But if you remain, if you breathe and watch, slowly the thoughts begin to fade like ripples disappearing from a pond. And then, beneath the noise, a deeper silence appears. That silence is not empty. It is alive. It holds clarity, peace, and strength. This is the stillness that worry hides from you. It is always there, but you cannot see it while the surface is disturbed. Think of the sky. When storms rage, you see only clouds, lightning, and rain. But above the storm, the sky remains clear, vast, and untouched. Stillness is like that. Worry is the storm, temporary and chaotic. Stillness is the sky, permanent and vast. The more you let go of worry, the more you rise above the storm and rest in the sky of your true nature. Worry convinces you that you must constantly act, constantly prepare, constantly fight. It fears stillness because in stillness, worry has no power. But wisdom teaches the opposite. From stillness, the right action naturally arises. A mind clouded by worry acts impulsively, blindly, wasting energy. A mind anchored in stillness sees clearly and moves wisely. It is like the difference between swinging a sword wildly in panic and placing one calm, precise strike. Worry scatters your energy. Stillness focuses it. Stillness also heals. Worry keeps the body tense, the breath shallow, the heart racing. Over time, this wears you down, but in stillness, the body relaxes, the breath deepens, the heart steadies. The nervous system shifts from fear into rest. Healing begins. The body knows how to restore itself, but worry interferes with this process. Stillness allows it to work again. This is why moments of silence and calm feel so nourishing. They return you to your natural state. Have you noticed how, in moments of deep stillness, joy arises on its own? You may be sitting quietly, watching the trees, listening to the wind, doing nothing, and suddenly a gentle happiness fills you. That is because joy is not something you must create. It is something you uncover when the noise of worry is gone. Stillness is the soil in which joy grows naturally. Worry thrives on time. It lives in the future, in endless what-ifs. Stillness lives in the present. It anchors you here, in this breath, this step, this moment. And when you are truly here, worry cannot touch you. Imagine carrying a heavy bag of worries about tomorrow while standing on a bridge today. You miss the river flowing beneath, the breeze on your skin, the sun in the sky. Stillness says, put down the bag. Be here. And the moment you are here, the burden disappears. There is a Zen story of a monk carrying water in a bucket. He tripped and the bucket broke. The water spilled out and the monk cried, "Everything is lost." But then he looked into the empty bucket and saw the reflection of the moon. In stillness, he discovered beauty, even in loss. Worry would have kept him blind, focused only on the broken bucket. Stillness opened his eyes to the gift of the moment. This is the power of stillness. It transforms how you see. Stillness is not the absence of life. It is the presence of awareness. In stillness, you begin to see things as they truly are. You notice the subtle details, the way your breath moves, the way light shifts, the way thoughts rise and fall. You realize that everything is impermanent, everything is in motion, and yet, beneath it all, there is a deep peace that never moves. Worry distracts you from this truth. Stillness reveals it. Many fear stillness because they confuse it with emptiness. But emptiness is not nothingness. It is fullness, it is space, it is possibility. Just as a bowl is useful because of its emptiness, your mind becomes powerful when it is not cluttered with worry. In that empty space, creativity flows, wisdom appears, compassion deepens. Worry fills the bowl with noise. Stillness empties it, making it useful again. When you let go of worry and rest in stillness, you also discover freedom from external noise. You are no longer pulled endlessly by opinions, by news, by comparisons, by the chaos of the world. You stand rooted like a tree in the wind. The branches may sway, the leaves may rustle, but the roots remain steady. Stillness is those roots. From this place, you engage with life not out of fear, but out of clarity and strength. And here lies the greatest secret. Stillness is not something you create. It is already within you. It has always been within you. It is the space between your thoughts, the pause between your breaths, the silence behind every sound. Worry only covers it. The more you let go of worry, the more you remember the stillness that was always here. So remember this: worry is movement without purpose, but stillness is power with purpose. Worry scatters your mind, but stillness gathers it. Worry drains your life, but stillness renews it. The moment you let go and allow yourself to be still, you discover that the strength you were seeking in fear was always waiting in peace. When you learn to live from stillness, worry no longer controls you. You may still face storms, but you stand at the calm center. You may still face challenges, but you act with clarity. You may still face loss, but you see beauty even there. Stillness becomes your anchor, your strength, your refuge. And in this stillness, you discover that the greatest power is not in controlling life, but in being fully present with it. The strength of surrender. Life supports you when you stop resisting. Most people think of surrender as defeat. The word often carries images of weakness, of giving up, of letting life crush you. But in truth, surrender is not about weakness, it is about wisdom. It is the understanding that fighting endlessly against what is beyond your control is suffering, and that true strength comes not from resistance, but from flow. Worry is resistance. It is the mind clinging, struggling, and exhausting itself against life's natural rhythm. Surrender is release. It is opening your hands, softening your heart, and allowing life to carry you. And here is the paradox. When you stop resisting, life supports you more fully than you could ever support yourself through worry. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises from attachment, the refusal to let go, the insistence that things must go a certain way. Worry is this attachment in disguise. You attach to an outcome, to a certainty, to a plan, and then you torment yourself with fear of losing it. But surrender breaks this attachment. It says, I will care, I will act, but I will not cling. I will give my effort, but I will not demand the universe obey my fears. In this surrender, you are not passive. You are free. You conserve your energy for what you can do, and you release the rest to the flow of life. Think of a river carrying a fallen branch. The branch that resists, that tries to cling to rocks, is battered and broken. The branch that surrenders is carried smoothly, gently, around bends and over obstacles. It does not need to know where the river is going. It simply flows. Worry makes you like the first branch, clinging desperately, resisting the current, exhausting yourself. Surrender makes you like the second branch, moving with trust, discovering that the river already knows the way. Surrender does not mean apathy. A farmer does not surrender by refusing to plant seeds. He surrenders by planting them with care and then trusting the rain, the sun, and the soil to do their part. Worry would have him dig up the seeds each day, checking if they are growing, destroying them in the process. Surrender is patience, trust, and wisdom. It allows things to unfold at their natural pace. In this patience, you discover peace, because you are no longer demanding that life move on your schedule. Worry thrives on control. It tells you that if you just think hard enough, prepare long enough, and fear deeply enough, you will finally gain control. But have you noticed that control never arrives? Life keeps surprising you, shifting, moving in ways you cannot predict. The truth is, you never had full control, and you never will. But this is not a reason for despair. It is a reason for freedom. Once you accept that control is an illusion, you are no longer chained to it. You begin to live in flow, to act when action is needed, and to rest when it is not. This is the strength of surrender. There is a story told in Zen about a man who fell into a swift river. At first, he fought desperately, thrashing against the current, gasping for air. He was nearly drowned. Then, exhausted, he gave up resisting and allowed himself to float. To his surprise, the river carried him safely to the shore. The lesson is simple. Resistance nearly killed him, but surrender saved him. Worry is your thrashing. Letting go is your floating. And life, like the river, knows how to carry you. Surrender also reveals wisdom in places you least expect. When you stop clinging, you see more clearly. Imagine muddy water. If you stir it constantly, it remains cloudy. But if you let it settle, it clears, and you can see through it. Worry stirs your mind endlessly, keeping it cloudy. Surrender allows it to settle, and wisdom appears. Often the solutions you could not find in worry appear naturally when you surrender. In this way, surrender is not giving up on life. It is giving life the space to show you the way. Many people fear surrender because they think it means accepting failure. But surrender is not failure. It is acceptance. Acceptance of reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. This acceptance is not the end of action. It is the beginning of wise action. When you accept reality, you stop wasting energy fighting it, and you start using your energy to move skillfully within it. Worry says, "This should not be happening." Surrender says, "This is happening. How can I meet it with clarity and compassion?" That shift alone transforms suffering into peace. Think also of relationships. Worry often poisons them because it makes you cling. You fear losing someone, so you tighten your grip, becoming anxious, controlling, demanding. But surrender allows love to breathe. It says, "I will love fully, but I will not cling. If you stay, I will love you. If you go, I will still love life." This freedom makes love more authentic because it is not based on fear, but on trust. The same is true in all areas of life. Surrender makes room for love, for creativity, for joy to flow naturally. Worry makes life feel like a battle. You wake up ready to fight against time, against uncertainty, against your own thoughts. But surrender turns life into a dance. You move with the rhythm instead of against it. You may not always know the steps, but you trust the music. You let yourself be guided. And in this dance, you find grace where worry once brought only exhaustion. So how do you practice surrender? Begin with awareness. Notice when you are clinging, when your mind is racing with what if. Pause, breathe. Say to yourself, "I release what I cannot control. I trust life to carry me." Start with small things, the delay in traffic, the rain on your plans, the uncertainty of tomorrow. Each time you surrender, you strengthen the habit of trust. Slowly, this trust grows until even the larger storms of life can be faced with calm. And here lies the great secret. Surrender is not the end of strength. It is the beginning. Worry is weakness disguised as control. It wastes energy, blinds clarity, and exhausts the spirit. Surrender is strength disguised as softness. It conserves energy, clears vision, and restores peace. The strongest tree is not the rigid one that breaks in the storm, but the bamboo that bends and sways, then stands upright when the wind passes. That is the strength of surrender. So remember this: life is always unfolding, with or without your worry. You can resist it and suffer, or you can surrender and flow. You can live as a prisoner of control, or you can live as a partner of life's unfolding. The choice is always yours. And the moment you choose surrender over worry, you step into freedom, peace, and trust. Surrender is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of living fully. When you stop resisting, life supports you. When you stop clinging, life opens its arms. And when you stop worrying, you discover that surrender is not weakness. It is your greatest strength. Impermanence destroys worry, and acceptance restores peace. One of the deepest truths the Buddha ever taught is the truth of impermanence. Everything changes. Nothing lasts forever. Joy passes, sorrow passes, youth passes, age passes, health changes, wealth shifts, relationships transform, seasons turn, stars burn out. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to free you, because at the root of worry lies the desperate attempt to stop impermanence. Worry is your mind saying, "I must hold on to this forever. I must prevent this from changing. I must secure the future so that nothing shifts." But impermanence cannot be stopped. It is the nature of life. When you fight it, you suffer. When you accept it, you find peace. Impermanence is not your enemy. It is the reason life is alive. Imagine if nothing ever changed. Pain would last forever. Sorrow would never end. Winter would never turn to spring. Wounds would never heal, and growth would be impossible. The very things you fear losing are only possible because of impermanence. Love exists because it begins and ends. Beauty exists because it fades. Every moment has value because it will not return. Worry blinds you to this truth. Acceptance opens your eyes to it. Worries war against time. When you worry, you are at war with time. You cling to yesterday, regretting what has passed. You fear tomorrow, inventing what has not yet arrived. And in this battle, you miss today, the only moment that is real. Worry convinces you that by replaying the past or rehearsing the future, you will gain control. But all you gain is suffering, because you are demanding permanence in a world built on change. Have you ever noticed how much of your worry is about things that never happened? How many sleepless nights you spent imagining disasters that never arrived? This is worry's great illusion. It makes you live in suffering twice, once in imagination and maybe again in reality. Impermanence shows you that none of these imagined fears are solid. They shift, they dissolve, they pass. By accepting this, you free yourself from wasting energy on what does not exist. The gift of impermanence. Impermanence is a teacher. It teaches you to cherish the present, because the present will not last. The smile of a loved one, the laughter of a child, the warmth of the sun, none of these can be held forever, and that is why they are precious. If they were permanent, you would take them for granted. Impermanence gives meaning to joy. It reminds you to savor, to notice, to be grateful. It also teaches you that pain will not last. Worry makes suffering feel permanent. It tells you, you will always feel this way. You will never escape this problem. This darkness is forever. But impermanence proves worry wrong. No feeling lasts forever. Every storm passes. Every night gives way to dawn. Even your deepest grief softens with time. When you accept this truth, you do not despair in difficulty. You trust that it will change. The river of change. Life is like a river, always moving, always flowing. You are part of this river, whether you resist it or not. Worry is trying to stop the river with your hands. You cup the water, but it slips through your fingers. You build walls, but the current finds its way around them. You exhaust yourself fighting what cannot be fought. Acceptance is stepping into the river and learning to float. It is trusting the current to carry you. Sometimes it carries you through rapids, sometimes through calm, but it is always moving, always flowing, always alive. Have you ever watched autumn leaves fall into a stream? They do not cling to the branch, fearing the flow. They let go, they land gently on the water, and they are carried. That is trust in impermanence. The leaf does not worry about where it will go. It surrenders to the river. And in that surrender, it becomes part of the beauty of the stream. You too are called to be like the leaf, to let go, to trust, to allow the flow of life to carry you. The illusion of control. Worry is born from the illusion of control. You believe that if you think enough, plan enough, fear enough, you can stop impermanence. But control is limited. You can influence life, you can act wisely, you can make choices, but you cannot control everything. The weather will change, people will change, your body will change, circumstances will shift. To cling is to suffer, to accept is to be free. Imagine holding sand tightly in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. That is worry. Now imagine opening your hand. The sand rests gently in your palm. That is acceptance. The difference is not in the sand, it is in how you hold it. Worry clings, acceptance opens, and in opening, peace flows in. Impermanence and courage. Accepting impermanence gives you courage. Worry makes you timid, afraid of loss, afraid of endings, afraid of change. But when you embrace impermanence, you see that loss is not the end. It is part of the cycle. Endings make way for beginnings. Death makes way for life. Winter makes way for spring. Courage comes not from denying impermanence, but from trusting it. Think of the butterfly. Its entire life is change. Egg to caterpillar, caterpillar to cocoon, cocoon to butterfly. At each stage, if it worried about the next, it would never transform. But by surrendering to change, it discovers wings. You, too, have wings waiting. Worry will keep you crawling. Acceptance will let you fly. The practice of letting go. How do you practice trust in impermanence? Begin by noticing small changes around you. The rising and setting of the sun, the shifting of clouds, the way your breath moves in and out, the way seasons slowly turn. Each of these is impermanence in action, reminding you that life is always flowing. Instead of resisting, say quietly to yourself, this too is impermanent. Whether you face joy or sorrow, repeat it. This too is impermanent. Joy becomes more precious, and sorrow becomes more bearable. You can also practice letting go of small worries each day. When a minor inconvenience arises, a delay in traffic, a change in plans, an unexpected outcome, pause, breathe, and remind yourself, this is not forever. This too will pass. Over time, your heart grows lighter, and you begin to trust life more deeply. Worry versus acceptance. Worry demands perfection. It says, nothing should change, nothing should be lost, everything must go my way. Acceptance embraces reality. It says, everything changes, loss is part of life, but I can meet it with peace. Worry fights the truth. Acceptance lives in it, and in truth, there is freedom. Consider the story of a monk who was asked how he remained calm in all circumstances. He said, I accept the rising and falling of life as I accept the rising and falling of my breath. Just as you cannot hold one breath forever, you cannot hold one moment forever. To try is suffering, to let go is peace. Living with gratitude for change. Impermanence also awakens gratitude. Worry blinds you to what you have because you fear losing it. Acceptance makes you grateful because you know it will not last. Every hug, every smile, every sunrise becomes precious when you know it will not come again in the same way. Gratitude turns impermanence into beauty. Worry turns it into fear. The choice is always yours. The freedom beyond worry. When you finally accept impermanence, worry loses its grip. You stop wasting energy trying to freeze time. You stop clinging to what must change. You stop fearing what is natural. Instead, you live, fully, deeply, gratefully. You savor joy without clinging. You endure sorrow without despair. You meet each moment with open hands, ready to receive, ready to release. This is freedom, the freedom worry never gives. So remember this: everything changes. This is not a threat, but a blessing. It means that nothing you fear will last forever, and nothing you love can ever be taken from your heart. Worry cannot change impermanence. Only acceptance can bring peace. When you let go of worry and embrace change, you discover that life has always been your teacher, and that every ending is only the beginning of something new. Impermanence destroys worry, but acceptance restores peace. Trust the flow, cherish the present, let go of fear, and you will see that life, in all its changes, is not against you, it is carrying you. The present moment is life's greatest gift. Worry always steals you away from the present moment. It drags you into imagined tomorrows or traps you in yesterdays that no longer exist. It convinces you that life will only begin once everything is secure, once the future is safe, once every what if has been solved. But this is the greatest lie. Life is not in tomorrow. Life is not in yesterday. Life is only here now. The breath you are taking, the ground beneath your feet, the sound of this moment. The present is all that has ever been real, and yet worry blinds you to it. To let go of worry is to return home to now, to rediscover the gift that was always here. Buddhism calls this mindfulness, the art of being fully present. Mindfulness does not mean ignoring the past or refusing to plan for the future. It means living in the truth that the only place you can actually experience life is here. The past is memory, the future is imagination, but the present is reality. Worry pushes you into illusion. Mindfulness returns you to reality. And in reality, there is always peace, always strength, always enough. Worry and the illusion of time. Worry is built on time. It makes you believe that the future must be controlled before you can rest, before you can live, before you can smile. But have you noticed that tomorrow never arrives? Every time tomorrow comes, it comes as today. And yet you do not live in it, because worry drags you into another tomorrow. This is why a life of worry feels like a life unlived. You are always somewhere else. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with what-ifs. Everywhere you go, you lug this weight. You cannot enjoy the walk, the scenery, the people you meet, because your shoulders ache with fear. Now imagine setting the backpack down. Suddenly, you can breathe, you can see, you can walk freely. That is what returning to the present feels like. Worry is the backpack. The present is the freedom of walking without it, the power of presence. The present moment is not small, it is infinite. When you are fully present, a single breath can feel like the whole universe. The sound of rain can become a meditation. The sight of a flower can reveal the beauty of life itself. But when you are lost in worry, you miss it all. You hear the rain, but do not listen. You see the flower, but do not notice. You breathe, but are not aware of breathing. Life is happening, but you are absent. Presence gives you back your life. Each moment becomes rich, textured, alive. You realize that joy is not hidden in some distant future. It is here, waiting to be seen. Peace is not something you must earn. It is already present in the space between thoughts. in the pause between breaths, in the stillness beneath the noise. But to feel it, you must return to now. A story of tea. There is a Zen story of a student who asked his master how to live without worry. The master simply said, "When you walk, walk. When you eat, eat. When you drink tea, drink tea." The student was confused. "But I already do these things," he replied. The master shook his head. When you walk, you are thinking of yesterday. When you eat, you are planning tomorrow. When you drink tea, your mind is everywhere but in the tea. That is why you suffer. The wisdom is simple. Worry keeps you from experiencing the moment. Mindfulness brings you back. When you walk, only walk. When you eat, only eat. When you drink tea, only drink tea. This is not trivial, it is liberation. To live fully in the present is to be free from the chains of worry. The body as anchor. One of the simplest ways to let go of worry is to return to the body. Your breath is always here. Your steps are always here. When your mind races into fears, return to the rhythm of your breathing. Notice the inhale, notice the exhale. Feel your feet touching the ground as you walk. Listen to the sounds around you. This anchors you in reality. Worry cannot survive when you are fully present, because it depends on dragging you elsewhere. The body is your bridge back to now. This is why Buddhist meditation often begins with breathing. Each inhale says, "I am here." Each exhale says, "I let go." Slowly you realize that you do not need to chase peace. It was always here, hidden beneath your absence. Gratitude in the now. Gratitude only exists in the present. Worry looks to the future and says, "What if I lose this? What if it changes? What if it is not enough?" Gratitude looks to the present and says, "Thank you." It does not demand permanence. It does not ask for guarantees. It simply receives. A worried mind misses the gifts of now because it is too focused on what might disappear. A grateful mind treasures them because it knows they will not last. Every sunrise, every smile, every meal, every breath is a miracle of impermanence. Gratitude turns impermanence into beauty. Worry turns it into fear. By letting go of worry, you rediscover gratitude, and gratitude turns every ordinary moment into something extraordinary. Worry cannot exist in presence. Have you noticed that when you are truly absorbed in something you love, worry disappears? When you are playing music, creating art, walking in nature, laughing with friends, there is no room for "what if?" That is because presence and worry cannot exist together. Worry requires absence. Presence dissolves it. This shows you a truth. Peace is not something you must create. It is something you uncover by returning to the present. The more you practice presence, the less space worry has. Like darkness vanishing in light, worry vanishes in awareness. The gift of silence. Stillness and silence are the doorways to the present. Worry hates silence because silence reveals its emptiness. But when you allow yourself to sit quietly, to breathe, to simply be, you begin to notice life again. You hear the hum of the world, the beating of your heart, the movement of the wind. Slowly the noise of worry fades, and the richness of now returns. This is why monks retreat into silence, not to escape life, but to enter it more deeply. Silence reveals the present moment as the only reality, and in that reality, worry has no place. Living life fully. To live fully is to live in the present. Worry convinces you that safety lies in the future, but safety is an illusion. The only security you truly have is this moment. And in this moment, you are alive, you are breathing, you are supported by life. To live in this truth is to live in freedom. Living fully does not mean you ignore the future. It means you prepare wisely, but do not live anxiously in it. It means you learn from the past, but do not carry it endlessly. It means you give your full attention to the life unfolding here, in this step, in this breath, in this heartbeat. A river of moments. Life is not one grand event. It is a river made of countless moments. Worry pulls you out of the river and places you on the shore of fear. Presence returns you to the flow. And in the flow you realize that life is not about controlling the river, it is about experiencing it. The coolness of the water, the movement of the current, the light on the surface, all of it is precious, but only if you are here to notice it. Each moment is a drop of eternity. When you are present, eternity opens to you. When you are worried, eternity passes you by. Practicing presence. Begin small. When you eat, taste each bite. When you walk, feel each step. When you breathe, notice each inhale and exhale. Whenever worry arises, do not fight it. Instead, return to now. Ask yourself, what is real in this moment? Usually the answer is simple. You are breathing, you are alive, you are here. That is enough. Over time, presence becomes your natural state. Worry may still arise, but you will see it as a passing cloud, not as reality. You will smile at it, breathe, and return to the sky of the present, the freedom of now. The present moment is freedom. It is freedom from the past you cannot change. It is freedom from the future you cannot control. It is freedom from the illusions of worry. It is the freedom of simply being alive, here, now. So remember this. The greatest gift life ever gives you is now. Do not miss it by living in yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's fears. Worry will always try to steal you away, but the present will always call you back. The moment you let go of worry and return to now, you discover that everything you were seeking, peace, joy, love, freedom, was already here, waiting. Life is not in tomorrow. Life is not in yesterday. Life is now. And when you let go of worry, you finally begin to live it. Detachment ends worry and awakens inner freedom. At the root of worry lies clinging. You cling to people, to outcomes, to objects, to identities, to expectations. You tell yourself, I cannot lose this. I cannot let this change. If I lose it, I will not survive. And so you live in constant fear, fear of loss, fear of change, fear of the unknown. Worry is nothing more than the mind's desperate attempt to hold on. But Buddhism teaches the opposite truth. Freedom comes not from clinging, but from detachment. Detachment does not mean indifference. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you hold life with open hands instead of closed fists. You love, you give, you experience, but you do not cling. And when you stop clinging, worry dissolves. Detachment is misunderstood in the modern world. Many think it means coldness, detachment from love, detachment from joy, detachment from life itself. But in reality, Buddhist detachment is the opposite. It is a deeper love, a deeper joy, a deeper life, because it is free from fear. To cling is to fear loss. To detach is to love without fear. To cling is to demand permanence in a world that cannot give it. To detach is to embrace impermanence and find beauty in it. Worry arises from clinging. Freedom arises from detachment. The chain of clinging. Clinging creates a chain around your heart. Imagine holding a rope tightly, so tightly that it burns your hands. The more you cling, the more pain you feel. That is worry. The tighter you cling, the more you suffer. You cling to youth, fearing age. You cling to wealth, fearing poverty. You cling to love, fearing loneliness. You cling to reputation, fearing judgment. Each attachment becomes a chain, and worry is the weight you carry with it. But detachment breaks the chain. It says, I will enjoy youth while it is here, but I do not demand it stay. I will appreciate wealth if it comes, but I do not make my peace depend on it. I will love with all my heart, but I will not demand permanence. I will be kind and sincere, but I will not cling to how others see me. This freedom does not make you careless. It makes you fearless. Why clinging feeds? Worry. The reason clinging feeds worry is simple. The more tightly you try to hold something, the more you fear losing it. A person who owns nothing does not fear theft. A person who is deeply attached to possessions worries endlessly about protecting them. In the same way, when you cling to how life must go, you create constant fear. Worry is the shadow of attachment. Where there is clinging, there will always be worry. Think of the way you hold water. If you try to trap it in your fist, it slips through your fingers. If you open your palm, the water rests there gently. Worry is the closed fist. Detachment is the open palm. The water is the same, but your experience of it is entirely different. The joy of detachment. When you release clinging, you begin to live in joy. Imagine going to a garden. If you cling to the flowers, demanding they never fade, you will suffer when they wilt. But if you admire them fully in the moment, knowing they will fade, you experience pure joy without fear. This is the essence of detachment. It allows you to love more deeply because you are no longer loving through fear of loss. You are loving freely, openly, courageously. Worry convinces you that detachment is dangerous, that if you stop clinging, you will stop caring. But the truth is the opposite. Clinging makes your love conditional, while detachment makes it unconditional. When you cling, you love only if it stays. When you detach, you love regardless of change. That is deeper love, purer joy, freer life. Detachment and impermanence. Buddhism teaches impermanence. Everything changes. Detachment is simply living in harmony with this truth. Worry arises when you deny impermanence, when you demand that what you love must never end. But when you accept impermanence, you stop clinging. And when you stop clinging, worry dissolves. Think of the sunset. If you demand that the sun stay in the sky, you will suffer as it falls. But if you admire its beauty while it lasts, knowing it will pass, you experience joy, not worry. Life is filled with sunsets, moments, people, seasons, joys, and each must pass. Clinging makes them painful. Detachment makes them precious. Detachment and the self. Worry also arises from clinging to the self, the image of who you think you are. You cling to titles, to roles, to identities, to the way others see you. And with this clinging comes fear. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I lose my status? But who you are is not these temporary labels. You are more vast, more infinite, more free than any title. Detachment from the self-image does not make you lose yourself. It makes you discover your true self, the self beyond fear, beyond worry, beyond illusion. A story of detachment. There is a Buddhist parable of two monks traveling together. They came to a river and saw a woman struggling to cross. One monk, following strict rules of discipline, refused to help her. The other monk lifted her onto his back, carried her across, and set her down safely. Hours later, the first monk scolded him. "How could you carry her? We are not supposed to touch women." The second monk replied calmly, "Brother, I set her down at the river. Why are you still carrying her?" This is the power of detachment. Worry is carrying the weight long after it is gone. Detachment is setting it down and moving freely. Practicing detachment. How do you practice detachment in daily life? Begin by noticing where you cling. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing? What am I demanding must never change? Then gently loosen your grip. Remind yourself, everything is impermanent. People will change, circumstances will shift, possessions will fade. This is not a reason to despair. It is a reason to cherish them more deeply while they are here. When you eat, Savor the meal fully, knowing it will end. When you spend time with loved ones, be fully present, knowing the moment will pass. When you achieve something, celebrate it, but do not cling to it as your identity. In each act of loosening, worry loosens too. Detachment brings peace. Detachment brings peace because it releases you from the endless cycle of fear. Worry makes you live in constant anxiety about what you may lose. Detachment frees you to live in gratitude for what you have. Worry says, I must hold this forever. Detachment says, I will enjoy this now and let it pass when it must. That shift is liberation. Consider a bird sitting on a branch. It does not cling to the branch out of fear, it will break. It trusts its wings. In the same way, detachment is trust. Trust that you can survive change. Trust that you can endure loss. Trust that you can fly even when branches break. This trust is the foundation of peace. Detachment and freedom. The ultimate gift of detachment is freedom. You are no longer chained to outcomes, to fears, to demands. You live fully in the present, meeting each moment as it comes. You stop fighting impermanence and start flowing with it. You stop clinging to illusions and start living in truth. Worry enslaves, detachment frees, and this freedom is not coldness. It is warmth without fear, love without clinging, joy without conditions. It is the freedom to live life as it is, not as you demand it to be. Living detached, living free. So remember this. Worry is the shadow of clinging. Detachment is the light of freedom. The more you let go, the more you live. Detachment does not take you away from life, it returns you to it. It allows you to love fully, to live deeply, to experience every moment without fear of its end. Let go of the rope, open your hand, trust impermanence, love without clinging, live without fear, and you will discover that detachment is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the fullness of peace, the fullness of joy, the fullness of freedom. Worry is one of the most persistent illusions of the human mind. It whispers that by replaying fears, by rehearsing disasters, by tightening your grip on life, you will finally find safety. But you have seen the truth. Worry never gives safety. It only gives suffering. It does not prepare you. It drains you. It does not protect you. It blinds you. It does not strengthen you. It weakens you. Through every lesson, you have discovered that worry is not reality. It is a habit of thought, a pattern of fear, a cloud covering the sky of your true being. Beneath it, there is always peace. Beneath it, there is always strength. Beneath it, there is always freedom. And the moment you let go of worry, even for a breath, you glimpse this truth. That glimpse is not temporary. It is the beginning of a new way of living. Worry as the great thief. Think of what worry has stolen from you. Moments of joy you did not fully live because you were afraid of tomorrow. Relationships you did not fully cherish because you feared their loss. Opportunities you did not take because you rehearsed failure in advance. Even peace within your own heart because worry convinced you that you must earn it by solving every problem before it arrived. But you see now, worry has no power except the power you give it. It is a ghost, shouting loudly but holding nothing real. When you turn toward it with awareness, it vanishes. Like mist in the morning sun, it cannot survive in the light of presence. The path beyond worry. Buddhism shows us the path beyond worry is not in controlling life, but in understanding life. It is in seeing impermanence clearly. Everything changes. It is in accepting reality as it is, instead of demanding it obey your fear. It is in trusting the unfolding of life, knowing that storms pass, wounds heal, seasons turn. It is in discovering stillness, that quiet power within you that remains unshaken. It is in practicing detachment, holding life with open hands instead of closed fists. It is in returning to the present moment, the only place life has ever been. Each of these truths dissolves worry because they reveal the futility of clinging to what cannot be controlled. They show you that freedom does not come from securing the future, but from living fully in the present. The gift of letting go. Letting go of worry is not about abandoning responsibility. It is about abandoning fear. It is about trusting that you can meet life as it comes. It is about choosing to suffer only when suffering is real, not 1,000 times in imagination. It is about lightening the heart so you can live, love, laugh, and breathe again. Letting go does not mean life will be perfect. It means you will be free to live life as it is, without the extra burden of fear. Problems may come, but you will meet them calmly. Loss may come, but you will meet it with courage. Uncertainty may come, but you will meet it with trust. And joy will come more often, because you will finally be present enough to receive it. A story of the empty cup. There is a final story worth remembering. A master once held out a cup to his student and asked, "What happens if I fill this cup with worry?" The student replied, "There will be no room for anything else." The master nodded. "And what happens if I empty it?" The student replied, "Then it can be filled with tea, with water, with whatever I choose." This is your mind. When it is full of worry, there is no space for peace, for joy, for wisdom. But the moment you let go, you make space. And in that space, life flows in, rich, fresh, new, living without worry. Imagine what your life would feel like if you no longer carried worry. Your mornings would begin with calm, not panic. Your days would be lived with presence, not fear. Your nights would be filled with rest, not endless rehearsals of what might go wrong. Your relationships would deepen because you would meet others with openness instead of clinging. Your heart would feel light, your steps steady, your spirit free. This is not a fantasy. It is possible. It is the life waiting for you the moment you decide to release worry. Each breath you take mindfully, each moment you choose trust over fear, each step you take in presence is a step into this life. The final truth. The final truth is simple: worry changes nothing. Presence changes everything. The world will not become permanent because you worried. It will not stop changing because you clung. But you will become free the moment you accept impermanence, the moment you trust the unfolding, the moment you open your heart to now. Let go of worry, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Release the chains, empty the cup, float in the river, breathe in this moment. For this moment is life, and it has been waiting for you all along.